everybody? Your boy Malik here. Happy Friday to you. And the glorious Friday we have in store here at the Overwatch League. Guys, it is playoff time, and we are that much closer to putting the pieces to our playoff puzzle together. Our first match of the day is a match with huge playoff implications. We have the Boston Uprising going against the LA Gladiators. Now, as you all know, the Boston Uprising are undefeated so far this stage, and if they win today, they will be the first team to ever pull off 10-0, a perfect stage. But they gotta go through the LA Gladiators, a team that is in position to get into the playoffs if they're able to win a couple maps today. So huge playoff implications today. Something's gonna have to give. And guys, our stage playoffs this time around a lot different from the previous time. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the adjustments, this is how the stage 3 playoffs are gonna work.
The Stage 3 playoffs are almost here. We've seen stage finals like this before, right? Wrong. This time is completely different. The stage playoffs have expanded from the top 3 teams to the top 4 teams in the stage standings. For teams with the same record, the tiebreakers start with stage 3 map differential, followed by head-to-head record. And if the 2 teams in question have not played in the stage, a tiebreaker match will be played to decide seeding. The stage playoffs consist of 3 best-of-5 map matches taking place on Sunday, May 6th. It all begins at 1 p.m. Pacific with the 2 semifinals, followed by the stage final later that day to crown the stage 3 champion. And while the top team no longer has a bye straight into the final match, they now get to select their semifinal opponent from the other 3 playoff qualifiers at the end of Saturday's match broadcast. While the new rules bring added drama and excitement, the stakes remain the same. Endless bragging rights plus $100,000 to the winner and $25,000 to the runner-up.
Thank the deity of your choice. It's Friday, baby. I'm not Chris Bucket. I'm Golden Boy, and I flew basically across the country because I missed you guys oh so much, and I couldn't miss the final week of the stage. Come on, man.
That was weird because you directed that at the camera, but you meant us, right? You missed us so much.
I don't know. I think it's more like you guys miss me.
We do.
Yes.
We do, Golden Boy.
Embrace. That's right. It ain't a Golden Boy desk if we don't have some embracing going on early on. Anyway, Bren, Sideshow, pleasure to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this week should be fantastic as well. You come at the right time. You always seem to come when the big games are happening. You kick Puckett off when the playoffs are going on and this kind of stuff. The game that we've got starting now, the LA Gladiators against Boston, could not be any more hype. It's going to be amazing.
That's right. And actually, speaking of, let's take a look at the schedule and see where we are, because we have some great matches today. 6 o'clock, we're going to have the NYXL going up against the Shanghai Dragons. And then at 8 p.m., it will be the London Spitfire against the Seoul Dynasty. But now all eyes are set on our first matchup of the day. The Los Angeles Gladiators going toe-to-toe against the Boston Uprising. In this matchup, it's incredibly important for both teams. For the Gladiators, if they're able to win at least 2 maps here, well, they're into the playoffs. But for Boston, they have an opportunity. Not only are they locked up, but they have an opportunity to be undefeated in a stage, which is something that hasn't happened. It's actually pretty awesome, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, to be honest. And you said earlier, Golden Boy, you know, praise the deity of your choice. The only deities I'm going to be supporting is going to be the Church of Boston Uprising here, you know. God bless Huck, the president of the gaming, because this team is looking so strong. 9 wins in this stage. 9 wins in this stage. They need this 1 match now to make it 10. Be the first time anyone's ever done it in the Overwatch League history, and it is going to be nuts. It's going to be a crazy game.
Both teams could come away from this feeling pretty happy about themselves. If Boston Uprising end up winning, but the LA Gladiators still snag 2 maps and take it to a map 5, it's all good, it's all good. But LA Gladiators still need the win overall for their overall playoff chances. So both teams will be going tooth and nail fighting over this match.
Yeah, it's going to be a big matchup here. And I might as well ask, though, because I know that, you know, the last time these 2 teams played against each other, I mean, they have a tendency to go the distance.
Mate, these 2 teams, right, they are no strangers to the map 5s. And this map pool as well, it seems like this one's going to be drifted in a similar direction, because you can see what they're playing today. The win percentage is going to be working out. Numbani is a bit of a hot one for both these teams. Again, hotly contested between them. But it's the map 5 that I'm really looking at, because in the last 13 games, it is LA Gladiators have gone to map 5 7 times, and Boston have gone to map 5 8 times. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. These teams are no strangers to it. They always go to distance, and honestly, it's exhausting, but these guys, they're well-versed on Oasis. Yeah, we got to say that much.
They've played it 10 times this season. They've had a lot of practice on Oasis, and they're both really good at it as well, so it should be awesome to see if we actually get to that point, how who comes out on top at the end of that. But for LA Gladiators to even get to that point, I'm going to look at two people in particular, Fisher and Surefour. These guys have to step up, because the Boston Uprising, when you look at the historical data, Boston have slaughtered everybody else on the LA Gladiators. The backline of the Gladiators die 50% more than usual when they play against Boston. Asher dies 30% more. Bishu dies 25% more. It's basically only Surefour and Fisher that are left alive to try and pick up the pieces. They end up getting more kills than average because they're not focused as much. So you can see here the average deaths per starter. So Fisher and Surefour highlighted at the bottom, you can see versus Boston, they don't actually die that much more, but everybody else gets targeted so much by this clean, clinical dive that's been coming out from the Boston Uprising. So Fisher and Surefour have to be the guys to step up here. They have tough opposition on the other side, but these are the guys that are gonna make it happen if they do.
Yeah, this is obviously a big game here for the Los Angeles Gladiators. You had mentioned Fisher before as well. I mean, the tank play in general has always played such a critical role, especially now in these later stages.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got an excellent head-to-head to really describe it. I'm so glad that you mentioned about Fisher, because he's up against Gamzu himself, and both of these tanks can honestly make an argument for some of the best in the league when it comes to their Winston play. They are just honestly phenomenal, and they have really done wonders for this team. Gamzu sets up Boston Uprising so well, really helping them with that clean clinical dive, like you said before, Sideshow. But then Fisher, he was recently introduced halfway through the season, and he has done wonders for Gladiators as well.
So good.
He is incredible. And this is really where the matchup is going to be lying. You really want to be paying attention to these two guys when this match is playing out, because you're going to be learning a lot from them, but it's also going to be really the pivotal pointing which way this match is going to be going. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely will be. And the question is, can they secure their playoff spot? Can they defeat the undefeated? Can they take Volskaya away from the Kings of the Cold? That's what I'm calling them. I made that lineup myself.
That's not true.
I made that lineup myself. It's not like it was written for me or anything like that. Okay, let's get some predictions in here, boys. Let's who do you got?
Well,
Brendan?
I mean, we've given the opportunity. You know, we've said that it's going to go to a map 5. It's going to go to distance because of these teams. They're so well versed on really a lot of these maps. They're evenly matched. But this is going to be going to Boston, in my opinion. I think the Boston are going to go undefeated in this stage. I think they're going to get their 10th win today. The statistics, it's going to be an even match, but Boston just seems so much better at playing that orchestrated, methodical dive that I think it's going to go their way.
I think it's a good map pool for the LA Gladiators here. They've got Numbani where they have a chance. Nepal, they're actually favored statistically. Route 66 as well, but just by such thin margins. And Volskaya at Boston are so good that I have still got to give it to the Boston Uprising. This team has looked so phenomenal. LA Gladiators, they have a puncher's chance. They could end the streak here. But Boston, you can't bet against them. They are the favorites coming into this game, and I think they're going to prove again why they're the map 5 kings.
All right, well, you've heard it from the analysts. Now it's time to bring out our teams. So let's bring out our first squad of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Now, the Gladiators, 16-13 overall, 6-3 in Stage 3. And again, we can't continue to harp on this enough. They are fighting for that playoff spot, that 4th and final spot. They're right there.
They need 2 map wins to be able to lock up that playoff spot. If they get 1, they could still go to a tiebreaker with the Philadelphia Fusion. But a 4-0 sweep here is definitely the worst possible outcome for them. So they are trying to get as many maps as they possibly can. Obviously, the victory would be the best possible outcome for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to show these guys respect on LA Gladiators, because as well, coming into the league, a lot of people underestimated their roster, and they weren't performing as well as people were really expecting.
Fisher's hungry for frags.
He wants to be fed. He wants to be fed. He is hungry. But everyone was underestimating this roster coming into the league, but they have really turned it around again with the introduction of Fisher coming in. But Surefour, that is the one guy I really want to put a magnifying glass under, because he was really a jack of all trades, master of none.
Dude, have you ever used a magnifying glass? You don't put them under the thing that you're trying to look at.
What if you're trying to view them underneath? What if you're underneath them?
I don't know if that's how. I don't know if that's how it works, Brent.
It might. I've never used a magnifying glass before.
No,
Clearly.
But that matchup with Showfar and Mistakes has got to be one of the most interesting ones.
Oh, man. We got it. Bren, you just need to learn life. All right, so let's go ahead and bring out your second team in this critical matchup. Put your hands together for the Boston Uprising. They are looking to do the unthinkable, go undefeated in a stage, and I'm going to say this is going to be a real cheeky sports reference here. New England Patriots tried to do the same thing, but it was the plucky New York Giants that stopped them at the Super Bowl. Patriots, owned by the Crafts.
Is that
Uprising,
Handegg
owned by the
Sports?
Crafts. That is Handegg. That is Handegg. It is the greatest sport in the world. So yeah, so the pressure's on for this team.
It really is, isn't it? It's never been done before. Kellex is apparently going into the game blind. I don't blame him. He can probably do it. He's a phenomenal player, actually, on that Mercy role. One of the players that has skirted by recently, unnoticed, seems to be, but now we're starting to get a bit more recognition for his Mercy play because he tends to survive in a lot of situations where other players wouldn't. He knows exactly the positioning of his teams at the right time, when he can glide towards them, and that survivability is key to Boston's own play style when it comes to running dive.
He
Number one, baby. Or two.
He tends to be a little sacrificial sometimes as well, Kellex, but the link up between their front line and their back line and the way he heals them, then peels back to Neko, it really does facilitate this team. Mistakes has got to step up here, though. The guy has been performing at a reasonable level. Great fill-in for this squad when he entered the lineup, and the Boston Uprising are going to look to him to be able to win those duels against Showfall, particularly on Volskaya, keep that undefeated streak alive on Volskaya and in the stage overall.
I'm super pumped for this game. It's a huge matchup. Gladiators need 2 maps in order to secure a playoff spot, but can the Uprising go undefeated in Stage 3? Now it's time to send it over to your casters. Let's make some noise. Let's get hyped up. It's over to Semler and Hexagram.
Thank you, Golden Bro. Welcome back, my friend, to host the desk. More importantly, the thing I took away from that desk, Hex, is that many ants across the world rejoiced when they heard that Bren had never used a magnifying glass in his life.
He's still
Think of all the ants that are scurrying about still alive.
He's still like accidentally crushing them with the magnifying glass. He's killing with the magnifying glass. But the shenanigans of the desk aside, I think we're in for a really good match here. I would tend to agree with the desk that Boston would be the favorites heading into this one, but the Gladiators have played everybody close, it seems, of recent memory. And I think they can do it, play it close, but I don't see it happening on Volskaya. They'd be the first team to beat Boston on Volskaya, well, I think ever. I think they're 9-0 so far on this map. So they are the kings of the cold, which, I don't know, I guess someone wrote that for them. Write your own lines or just don't use them.
You got some Nordic guys up there, you know, it doesn't really. Of course, they're going to feel pretty
so,
good.
Yeah, so our lovely producer told us that Bren wrote it for him. I knew I hated it, I just didn't know why. And it was apparently Bren wrote that line.
Of course.
Kings of the Cold can't figure out a magnifying glass. A lot of issues here as we roll into the icy depths of Volskaya.
They can't figure out predictions either, Hex.
No,
they both went with Boston. That's the easy one. I'm going to predict that LA Gladiators take it.
You're just contrarian now.
No.
Really?
I see it as
yeah,
the
really?
pressure of getting the 10-0. I will be surprised if Boston can pull it off. I think they'll falter at the end.
I agree with Sacho that the map pool does lend itself to a chance that Gladiators would, especially when we get to Nepal. They have a very good record on that one, 8-2. So we're on Volskaya. Do you think we're going to see Widow v Widow and maybe some Tracers on this first point?
I don't know what you're on about, Hex. Widow v Widow on Volskaya? Get out of here.
No, it's got to be careful because the Gladiators always try that move right there to try to hit the sleep dart onto the Diva early on, but he's able to get out, and now they will reset into the composition. They're actually going to run into the surprise of no one. It is Widow and Tracer versus Widow and Tracer.
Yeah, man, well, it's going to be fun to see how Mistakes measures up. He's had a bit more time now to play competitive matches on the Widow, filling that role. And so we'll see how he goes up against Surefour, who's definitely stepped up his Widow play so far in this stage. He's been having some shining moments. Now going to be hunting for that opening shot. Not quite going to find it. It's Mistakes who gets the kill on Asher instead.
Neko goes down too. That one actually really hurts for him. No resurrections coming in so far as Boston has gotten 3 kills, make it 4. They're going to resurrect Neko there as well, so it's going to be back to the drawing board for the Gladiators. You mentioned Shortboard. He leads the entire Overwatch League in scoped in accuracy.
Inaccuracy.
Nah, come on. You know I was struggling with that earlier. When he is scoped in, he is the most accurate Widow in the league.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was going to take time to actually formulate a decent sentence, but I got sidetracked there.
I mean, it would be pretty funny if he was leading in inaccuracy.
That wouldn't even be a stat. Why would we keep track of that?
Why not? It's important to know who's missing shots. Surefour right now. I mean, he is going to manage to connect with some bodies, but he needs heads right now. He wants to be getting that big thing. Not quite going to find it, though, as we will be trading back and forth. Big Goose dead is not going to help things here for the Gladiators, who are already giving ground on this push.
It's always the most important kill here on Volskaya because people are usually dying in reservoir places, so if he can take out that Mercy, it's actually a really big deal. But also getting 2 kills is enormous. They're going to push in off this as they took Note out of mech and Mistakes fell.
Dude, I'm liking it, though. Asher, there's 1 tick already picked up here for the Gladiators despite losing their Mercy. They're showing no fear. They go charging in, and now Fisher looking to punt a Diva off the side into the cold depths. Sure enough, nope, he's dead.
Yeah, maybe in a future documentary, James Cameron will go find that mech at the bottom of Volskaya. Not gonna happen this time, though. Gladiators get everything they need on the entry, push in despite losing their Mercy early. We're able to get a couple of kills off of that. Push the tides in their favor. Of course, respawn timers always favor the offense here as we roll into second point of Volskaya here. Now, this is where things can change up a little bit. Short4 is going to start on the Sombra here. It's generally what he likes to run. Maybe a McCree will happen in as well, considering that Boston is still running a full dive. McCree can be very good against those flankers.
That flash bang to the face. No fun allowed. That's Mr. McCree for you. You know, some people call Soldier old. Dude, McCree, he's getting on in age too. Wants to kick you off of his lawn as well.
I mean, non-moving targets are much easier to hit. That's what Flashbang is able to facilitate for him.
He needs the time. Hold still, Sonny, while I shoot you in the face. Well, we're going to have the push coming through here from Los Angeles Gladiators. It will be the self-destruct getting chucked in. Asher going to be able to dodge that in a moment's time. The pulse bomb going down, zoning pulse, of course. And he is going to keep the pressure up here on Kellix. Kellix somehow survives. Asher, what are you doing?
Bishu gone down early in this fight. It does seem that the Gladiators are going to retreat despite the Valkyrie happening right now, and that's a couple of support ultimates already used. They're going to double down, Transcend coming in.
Yeah, both of the things going down. There's the EMP coming through. Short4 gets eliminated immediately, but he has managed to get it off. The trance is there, however. Great play from Nako to keep his teammates alive, despite the fact that they're all silenced. And the fight will continue, although big kills coming through here. Short4 able to eliminate Mistakes, and Asher finds Note.
This is very reminiscent of actually how London likes to play. They will go in at 4v6. They like to continue to press the issue where a lot of teams will retreat and reset. They're trying to get anything they can out of this, and so far it's going to at least be 1 tick, I believe. Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. They've got, what, 5-6 players here. Right now, Los Angeles Gladiators making a whole hell of a lot of progress on this point. It is going to be the Hero Blade coming in from Mistakes, but he's forced to reflect immediately, trying to find Big Goose as well, but that's not going to happen. And so Mistakes, unfortunately for him, not able to get the value out of that ult, but he is getting backed up by Striker. Everybody worried about the Genji, but you still got one of the best tracers in the world there to wreck you.
Striker has just been a hard carry for this team, especially early on in this stage. The last couple of weeks haven't been as great for him just because he set the bar so high, but Striker comes in with those late kills, able to completely stabilize on the defense. Now, Transcendence going to be up for the defense, but 2 support ultimates about to come up and an EMP. On paper, this is a favorable fight for the Gladiators.
So yeah, EMP, we're going to be looking at Short4 here, trying to find an angle in. Already thinking of his way out. There is no backing up now, Short4. Only forward. Find those high-value targets, but they're doing a great job hiding right now. Boston Uprising not giving him a whole lot to work with. He will translocate out, and that's going to be Gamsu getting overwhelmed. But Gamsu, he'll be able to get back into the fight fairly quickly here. Nope needs to survive, though, and they are trying to find that kill.
They attempted a counter dive right there, but now they've equalized. The Transcendence is going to come out. That's all they really have on board support-wise for the defense, and a counter Transcend on the way in. They've already got 2 ticks, only 10% away.
Yeah. I was looking for that. Mistakes. He will not. Yes, he will. 2 kills to make the difference. Short4 and Big Goose dead. Immediately gets that Dragon Blade out as soon as the trance wears off. Well played there by Mistakes, able to get in there and make it happen this time.
That's Mistakes and Striker, and they did commit the Primal Rage late to that, perhaps hoping from a hero play from Fissure. If he's able to knock the 3 remaining people off of the point, they would be able to get that 10%. They were ever so close. So we're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The Gladiators committed a lot of resources to that. The question is now, do they go in and just try to bait out ults from the other side? But Boston doesn't have a whole lot to work with. I think Kellix should know these ultimate timings, know that there's not a ton, and if he gets jumped on, maybe just give up his life. Don't use Valkyrie here if you really don't have to.
Just trying to run down that clock as much as possible. Striker taking back control. Gonna limit some options here for Asher and Short4 on the flanks. Trying to get back over here to help out with the rest of the team as Gamsu decides to get mad. He's angry. Shaz getting punched in the face, but he's getting pocketed. In the meantime, though, Striker with the pulse bomb will find the kill on Bishu, and there we go. Finally, Gamsu will not find his kill. Is it eventually going to happen here, Gomster? You're just making us wait.
Welcome to the Striker Show. He gets put down eventually by Shaz, but that's not going to be enough. This Boston defense, and this is what Boston's always been good at, is just dive. And they counter dive every time they take that escalator up, and it ends up being about a 4v4 at the very least, but with their supports, because the Gladiators are been pushing into the left-hand side with both of their DPS, so there's no damage up there when they get dove on, and they kind of just have to take it and fall back, but Boston keeps pushing them.
Looks like they're starting to consolidate things, though. Surefour, he's at 70% on his EMP. Looking for that flank again here on the left side. Mistakes, gets hacked. No problem for him, though. He'll be able to back off to safety. He's got his Dragon Blade ready for this next push, and they are trying to punish him. Not quite going to find that kill, though. Great heals coming through here from Boston. That's to be expected. Some of the best healers in the business. And there's the trance, but Mistakes does manage to force it. There will no longer be that important ult for this next push onto the B point.
Neko fell very early. That EMP comes in late, trying to close this one out. Neko should be back in with Transcend. Here it comes.
He is going to try and keep everybody alive, and he's doing a great job of it. It looks like Helix was managing to dodge the hack initially. He does get hacked the old-fashioned way, though. But still, the support is here from the rest of the Boston Uprising. Surefour finds Mistakes, but Fisher trying to do the best that he can. If he could get the knock, that would be big! Launches Neko off into the drink, but Helix is still alive.
There are Winstons, and then there is Fisher. He is a god. He takes on the other support as well, and now it's just stall-out time from Striker. No miracles coming through from him. They're actually going to bully Mistakes off the top, and that might be it. Yes! Gladiators will close out a Volskaya offense with 20 seconds remaining.
Fisher. Talk about making the difference. You need to have that big play come through there at the end. And while he's like, right, the DPS aren't getting the job done, fair enough. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get the 2 kills that will unlock the point for us and allow for the Gladiators to pick up 2 points here on Volskaya with 20 seconds left in the bank.
I think it's inarguable. It's been the best pickup for a team in the entire Overwatch League. Monty mentioned yesterday he's got him at the top of his MVP list, and you talk about in almost any way. Is he the best player? Does he bring the most value? Yes and yes. Fisher has been unstoppable for this team. He continues to impress.
He continues to find the big plays as well. It is going to be the swap, obviously. Boston now going to be passing over onto the offense. Gladiators on the defense. Glad to see Bishu on the server today.
His positioning is just so good. He goes into the back line, which is great, and you think both supports are back there, but he's knocking the Zen away from the Mercy to make sure that they can't help each other out. Then the Mercy's still back there. He turns his sights onto her, takes out both supports, and even if he doesn't get the kills there, he's taking all the healing away while the rest of his team is cleaning up on the point. He's always separating the back line from the front line, and they have no choice about it based on the angles he jumps in on, based on when he pops Primal Rage, and that he just doesn't miss juggles.
He is so on point connecting those kills. I mean, it didn't really look like Neko could do anything to dodge it. Just perfect positioning there from Fisher. And is a natural-born boxer.
Zenyatta is just a big metal balloon when it comes to a Primal Raging Winston, just knocking them about. He's always the prime target to get out of there because he doesn't have any mobility options like a Mercy does. You don't want to go for a Mercy, you're just going to Guardian Angel away. Zenyatta's got nothing. He floats, but that's about it. No jetpack so far.
Kind of makes it easier to juggle him, too. Anti-grav.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's already up in the air.
Can't dig his heels in.
Yeah, it's like popping a balloon about. Well, we'll see how the offense now goes. Bishu's up top scouting. No attempt at the sleep dart. And it is going to be the battle of the Widows yet again. Mistakes and Surefour. And though it seemed pretty even early on between those two, it wasn't necessarily the Widow v Widow that decided the first point of Volskaya.
No, it was really the tanks again coming down to it. This is going to be the focus here. As Striker, he is out, already poking, looking to create that space for himself here to get onto the point and poke perhaps, but Shaz with the volley finds a headshot on him. That'll end his escapades, and it will be Boston Uprising right now. Well, they are going back and forth. Neko, however, catches a bullet to the face, and that's probably going to end it here as Boston decide to give ground. Nope, even getting demeched in the end. To just chuck himself off the side here, save him some time, but whatever. He's gonna get helped out.
They got Surefour and Bishu. Bishu is out of mech right now, so he's just trying to spam these corridors to get his mech back because the choice was made to resurrect Surefour for this next fight. He will get the mech call down back again, full 6v6.
Yeah, push begins. I like it here from Bishu, trying to stay in the angle, and he will manage to just destabilize things here momentarily. Asher dropping dangerously low, and guess who's in the back line yet again, punching your supports in the face. It's Fisher. Bishu there to get the D-Mech on note while the supports are distracted, and Surefour is on cleanup duty right now. 2 kills for him, body shots no less. I mean, when you got Fisher just, pounding them to paste.
It's that scoped accuracy, man. Doesn't miss body shots.
Well, it's nice when you got tanks that actually do deeps.
It is nice. It is nice that your tanks are able to knock everyone in the air for you and make it all that much easier. Short 4 goes for the big grapple shot, knows that his tanks are up the front line, and now it's just cleanup duty. That's a nice shot. That's another one right in a row. Don't have to hit heads.
You don't have to hit heads.
Why go for the smaller target when the center mass will do?
Yeah, again, having Fisher on your team, cool beans. Oh, wait, however, Fisher, he gets a bit ahead of himself there. The big dive coming through. Bishu not able to keep him alive with the D-Matrix. We will have the stick coming in from Striker, denying the remake. And now it's going to be Surefour under pressure here. Striker keeping up the party.
Both tanks out of it. Pack control there, too. Perfect from Striker to get all the damage in, take the pack away from the Widowmaker, and let everyone else come in and clean this one up. The supports for the Gladiators are still in this, but not for long. They're just going to go on the point and die on the point so they can reset.
Get back to spawn over at B point, start setting it up, make sure you dust everything off. You don't want people showing up to the party and it being, dirty.
But that is how you deal with Fisher. He's a super aggressive tank, and he jumped the backline 2 times in a row. And let that be a lesson. You don't jump the backline 3 times in a row. They're waiting for him back there. You're waiting for the mini missiles, the magic missiles, to come back and deal with it. And they do a great job of catching that. And with Fisher out of the mix, the power level of the Gladiators shrinks.
He does inflict all the pain. Although Asher and Surefour are there, it is definitely Fisher. So far, at least in this fight, we will have Mako charging up the volley point blank, and well, there's the welcoming committee. Gladiator's not going to let him get in here for free.
So this is really interesting because Short4 likes to run the Widow and the other team's running a McCree. Now, if Mistakes ends up going to maybe a Genji, then Short4 will switch to a Sombra. He likes the Sombra against a pure dive, likes the Widow against a McCree, and that's a matchup that you're almost always going to win. Widow McCree, just range, you're going to win.
That was a spicy stick. All right, then, Striker, now you can actually get in here. Both tanks eliminated here for the Gladiators. Asher trying to do the best that he can to survive a little bit longer, but it will be 2 ticks nearly picked up here. Yes, 2 ticks for Boston Uprising. They're making their progress out. Shaz finally decides to get the trance into this fight just to keep some guys alive. Fisher dropping dangerously low, but he's got the Primal Rage there to get him back up again. And he is getting focused hard. Boston Uprising on the limit right now.
That's about as fast as you'll ever see 1,000 HP go away. You've got Short4 on the Reaper no longer as he gets dead-eyed out of this. They get 1 kill, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. They need another kill. A nice zoning pulse bomb will actually connect. Both supports down, and that is a fast time for Boston, surprising no one. The Kings of Volskaya strike again.
So clean. So clean as far as the prioritization as well. Fisher, if you're just going to keep diving us, we're just going to kill you this time. We're ready for it, like you pointed out. Discord on the man. He takes so much damage to the face, there's no way for him to back out. And with both tanks dead, straight to the throat.
He got fully healed in Transcendence. They continued to focus him down, forced out the Primal Rage, and that was like 1 jump off that Primal Rage, and he was already dead again. That was 1,000 HP that went absolutely nowhere. I don't even think he landed during that jump. He jumped up and then just got killed immediately out of the sky. It's very clear what Boston's priority is on this dive, and oddly enough, it is on the Winston.
When you've got Big Goose and Shaz, I mean, they're pocketing each other great. They're keeping each other alive awesome, but it means that they're not going to have that healing there to keep the big beefy tanks up and running. So it is going to be the Los Angeles Gladiators on the attack. They only had 20 seconds in the bank, so they will be bumped up to a minute here to get things going on point A, whereas Boston Uprising will be on the defense with plenty of time in the bank.
Pretty even across the board when it comes to statistics, so a lot of this was just about ultimate timing, and landing that very early pulse bomb was huge. That gave them the light to go in, able to take down the big target and then take him down again. It seems like whenever Fisher is alive, he's the priority target. Might be calling for a change of a little bit of playstyle here from the Los Angeles Gladiators. Maybe stay a little further back, maybe have some of the supports go in with him. Something has to change because Fisher doubled his deaths that round. First half, he only died twice. That last half, he died 4 times. But one lasted much longer than the other. He died 4 times in the span of about 3 to 4 minutes.
Now taking your time here, looking for that opening kill. Surefour again with the theatrics. Chucking himself over, just hunting for the big play. Not going to find anybody though. Mistakes, he's playing on that low ground, not really wanting to open things up just yet as the bubble goes down. It is going to be Gamsu taking point. Mistakes finds Fisher, once again punishing the main tank here for Los Angeles Gladiators. And well, Los Angeles Gladiators, they don't have much time to play with. 25 seconds left on this clock to get some kind of progress on the first point, and Surefour jumped immediately.
He took a shot on the way in, and Gamsu's able to take him down as well. It's looking good for Boston. 2 quick kills. I don't see any possibility for a resurrection, and now they're backing out, being pushed all the way out. Either Fissure or Bishu is probably going to have to give up their life just to be able to touch its Bishu on the way in.
Just jumping in, trying to lead the way. Fissure is there, but the focus fire is so good, it's going to force him out, and guess what? Striker, yet another stick with the pulse bomb, eliminates him. Big Goose will bring him back to life, but you really don't have a whole lot to work with here, Gladiators. It's Fissure once again throwing himself into the fray, and both of the supports are here for Los Angeles Gladiators. Chancellor Slow, the Transit, will have the wings out for Big Goose, but they don't have a whole lot of bodies to keep alive here apart from themselves.
Where one goes, so does the other, both in-game and out of game, always in each other's pocket right there, but Boston will clean it up without giving up any sort of progress. Bishu's here, but it's all over for the offense, but the Cryon will flip sides and see what Boston can do on their offense. You have to imagine they're going to be at least able to get a tick.
Yeah, get a tick with 4 minutes, 46 seconds in the bank here. Boston Uprising. Whole lot of time to work with. They can afford to be patient. They can afford to just be systematic with dismantling this Los Angeles Gladiator defense.
I mean, when they see the map pool, they have to be like, okay, so what's our strategy on maps 2, 3, and 4? Because I think they figured out Volskaya, and no one else has really the coordination or the angles. They know exactly where they want to go at all times. It seems like it's like a computer that's learned chess. If they're here, then this, and if here, then this, and then if here, then this. It's just so perfect and crisp every time.
They're learning, Hex. Oh, God.
Yes.
This is it. Skynet 2.0.
Become sentient. All you people who bought Roombas, you will rue the day when Skynet takes over.
Those are going to be some, they're going to aggressively clean those forward. All right, Boston now, 30 seconds, and no shocker here as far as the lineups are concerned. Gladiators aren't even opting to try and throw a curveball in there. They're just going to try and stick to their guns and hope that they can weather the storm. Surefour and Asher again, Winston Tracer.
There's not really a curveball on Volskaya A right now. There's some teams that will run a full dive. Valiant come to mind. Shanghai pretty much only run full dive wherever they go, and that's worked out decently well for them as far as their progress has gotten. But it's Widow battles. It's all it's been in this entire stage. The whole meta revolves around getting your Widow to do damage, making sure they have to pressure your Widow, and then resurrecting it.
I'll say very quick, well, floating here from Nako. Making his way through. He will eventually group up with everybody who actually has some mobility here on this team. Looking for the spicy volley around the corner, not going to find it.
This is interesting. Striker and Nako are going to the right side. Mistakes playing very far back. They might be waiting on Striker. They love to just wait on Striker and have him get a pulse pop and toss it in there. That's how they won Volskaya A lot. And look, they've got a ton of time in the bank. They can be as patient as they'd like to be here.
Yep, just wait for the perfect scenario. Mistakes, grapple out, not quite going to find it. Oh, he nearly gets that shot onto Asher, not there. And they are going for a bit of a poke and prod here as Boston Uprising trying to find a weakness. There's the shot coming in from Mistakes yet again. Trying to play it careful. He's not quite sure where Surefour is, and there we go. Finally gets that info.
Striker owns this area over here by the forklift, and it forces everybody to play around that. He gets in there, Mistakes punishes Asher. Striker comes in now onto Bishu, evening up for the defense, but even trades to the defense. Not good. Striker taking on with Shaz, though. Shaz with 2 kills, hero plays.
Tried to go for the pulse, tried to get greedy. Mistakes wins the duel versus Surefour, but that might not be enough here as Big Goose attempting. Calyx will throw the wings into this fight. Are they going to actually find the kills that matter, though? Big Goose down to half HP, getting overwhelmed. Is going to get the wings out, though, so he'll get topped up fairly quickly here. Gamsu trying to make sure that he doesn't regen too much HP, and the fight continues on the point. Out-and-out chaos.
Just the numbers are going to favor Boston right now, though, and it seems an inevitability once the Tranquility is out as well. Big Goose and Fissure trying to keep themselves alive. Asher still doing a little bit of work on the ground, but with Big Goose falling, you have to imagine that is it. They're only a percentage away, and Boston will remain unbeaten on Volskaya.
And well, they're keeping that hope alive here as far as the clean streak through the stage. 9-0, they're looking at closing out 10-0, and well, Volskaya very clearly, their home turf. They figured the map out. They know what to do.
There's no other way to say it. They're the kings of that map right there. A lot to play for both of these teams going forward. Stage 3 playoff implications on the line for both. We are going to head our way to Nimbani right after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
These guys are just so good at playing that aggressive, high octane, in your face, no respect Overwatch.
As they're just rolling through Houston.
Oh, Boston, that's naughty.
They're pushing New York back. They will defeat the New York Excelsior.
Boston will not go away.
The EMP comes in and now it's landed on the back foot. Somehow the Boston Uprising have turned this around. They've done it. Unbelievable. The Boston Uprising snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
We do have Miro running back, stomping his way through, but it's not going to be fast enough. And Boston Uprising will beat Seoul.
Boston now jumps up to 8-0 here in Stage 3. Perfect so far.
It's just now the question of whether they can keep this unbeaten streak going.
So far they have Hex, and on maps as well as series, because Volskaya is still undefeated, as we just saw. It's a matter of whether or not the Gladiators are going to be able to take them down here, stop this juggernaut on map 2.
Yeah, I wonder if other teams are even going into Volskaya, like even trying to prep. They're like, no, let's focus on the other maps. Let's just focus on the other maps because Boston owns Volskaya. We're just attempting to rent it, and it hasn't worked out for any team. But we're going to Numbani. Neither of these teams are good on it. 3-6, both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be the one where we could potentially see some changes here in terms of strategy, just because Numbani is always so much fun on point A, at least. You get to see a whole bunch of stuff thrown out. And so, well, not quite sure that Kellex is going to be staying on Torbjorn, but one can always wish.
I mean, you can always hope. Torb used to be actually pretty viable. Well, one of his most viable maps, I guess would be the best way to say it, on Numbani. A couple of decent turret spots there. Some decent places to run it. I don't think that's going to be the case, but there are some interesting wrinkles that Boston does do on this. Most notably is that Nekos does go to the Ana. It's one of the few maps that you'll see her on point A. And it's just a lot about hitting a sleep dart on the dive, because they're going to dive Ana. She's got to kind of protect herself. The peel's not there, and then the tanks are going to live a little longer on the other side of things because you don't have Discord Orb.
The Discord Orb, I think, is the big one. Although, it is always fun to see a tasty biotic nade getting thrown in there, denying healing, area denial, right? That's super sick, but...
Hey, Ana's getting buffed, man. We might see a little more play. It's just some quality of life changes coming.
One can hope. A hero that requires skill. Yes, let's see more of her. Please.
Aim?
What? What is that? Hitting sleep darts? Nah, bro. Nah. I just want to throw orbs on things. All right, let's go.
76s on both sides. Not a surprise on the defense. On offense, you see a little bit less of it. A lot of teams will opt to run a full dive, but offensively, if you can get your 76 in a decent position, you're going to be good. This is not necessarily the position you want, but he's going to go from this corner to the back corner if they try to go back there. So just trying to get some token here. Support the dive from the ground, but he did not see that coming. Striker takes him down.
Yeah, there you go. Striker with the plays already, not wasting any time at all. Just pouring it on. Asher trying to go toe-to-toe. We will get Big Goose with Surefour brought back to life, but then that's instantly traded. It's Dago finding the kill on Asher. Just squeaking in the damage, you know, between healing his teammates, long range. The sniper still got it.
Yeah, I can relate to Ana because she really doesn't have to move to do her job. Just all the way back corner, just sits there. They're chasing down kills. It's cool, I got a scope. I'll be back here. You guys have fun, you know?
You do your thing. I mean, it is ideal, yeah. She plays the role, doesn't have to move much.
Yeah, they're still running the 76 on offense. It's a little interesting they're not trying to take the stairs, but that's come so out of vogue lately, trying to take the opposing stairs. Dive still coming in. No big committal thus far in the offense.
Yeah, it's tough to get that dive rolling in against a soldier like this because he will just waste you so quickly. No Discord Orb, and so yes, these tanks are surviving, but let's see, as the push begins on the point, contested at about halfway before that first hit gets picked up, and now Fisher's in a bit of a hot spot. He needs to back out. Make sure that his teammates are there to back him up.
Valkyrie out from both sides. Neither will get a kill during that engagement. The self-destruct came in late, didn't get anything. You have to imagine that they're going to use this nano on mistakes. Nano tactical visor can work so well, but only if they're pressured into it. Now they're going to hold on to it, though, because it does nothing against Transcend.
It is out, actually. There is going to be the Gamshu just tasing everybody. 2 kills for him, both of the backline dead. Asher, well, trying to get some progress on that point, but it's not meant to be, and they get full swept, team killed. Gladiators all sent back to spawn.
Questionable primal rage there towards the end. I didn't think they really needed that one from Gamsu. He had the nano boost, get so much damage in. Winston the prime target for that nano boost as well. One of the reasons you do it on a Winston and maybe like a Zarya and your other tanks is because you can snowball that in. Like getting the nano onto them makes them do more damage, then they get their ult quicker. So it's kind of investing in yourself there. but Mistakes still has his tactical visor. The other side of things, 2 tank ultimates and a tactical visor. They are trying to take these stairs now. This is where you want to set up your 76 and kind of get yourself in cross-position shooting gallery.
There we go. Nade goes out. That's going to be Big Goose in a bit of a tight spot, not able to regen HP while that is on, but eventually they are not able to capitalize on it. Boston, Mistakes backing off. Surefour decides to get the tac visor out, but no squishy targets for him. He could actually get the D-Mech on Bishu, but the self-destruct will be there to get that new mech going so quickly. And now it's on Shaz here, already under pressure. Mistakes finds the kill, compounding on top of Striker's damage.
They still haven't even gotten a permanent tick yet here, and defense has been hard to come by in the Overwatch League on Volskaya first, but doing a great job so far, and they have to reset. The thing is, with the offenses on Volskaya, if you don't take this well, the reinforced distances are actually favoring the defense in this situation. So the offense only gets about 3 cracks at it because of the time it takes to set up your offense on this map, and we're getting down to it. This is the last push for the Gladiators on Numbani first.
And they are going to change it up. So, change of strategy coming through. It is going to be the dive from Los Angeles Gladiators. The Surefour goes over to the Genji. No longer going to play Soldier. You know, with Sprint, you can get back into that fight, but it looks like they really want to just try and collapse here as a unit with Bishu, Surefour, and Big Goose leading the way with the Valk. Bishu instantly denied the healing, and Striker on the longest flank mission of his life.
There was a giant dive-in that happened, but no kills actually came through. That pulse bomb misses as well. They push them very, very far back. Austin's happy to retreat and catch this.
Striker is the one who gets boosted there. That's interesting. Bit of a missed target. Unfortunately, I think it was Nago just throwing it out there, risking or worried about dying with his ult unused, and they are going to find some progress here. Los Angeles Gladiators nearly picking up that first tick. They are going in one after another here. Boston Uprising. Tac visor gets thrown in. Mistakes could make the difference, and sure enough, finds the kill on Big Goose. Fisher's dead as well, and it's going to fall apart here for the Gladiators without picking up a single tick on Numbani.
Surefour gets pulse bombed and batted away and completely denied any progress. It was so close to being classic Gladiators on this map where there's no way they should win the fight and everything has fallen apart, but then Fissure uses a Primal Rage. Wasn't enough though as the tactical visor came through. I think we have a replay of that one coming up. Mistakes does a great job of being patient here. Look, he hasn't been lighting the world on fire on anything, but he's kind of reminds me of some of the other players in the league where he can play everything reasonably. He gives you the versatility.
You know, Surefour, that's usually the big card for him in terms of, oh, he can play everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, Mistakes. It turns out the Boston have got a bit of a player like that of their own, where he's not going to be playing on the Genji, perhaps going for the full dive, just going straight into it. The man can play it all, Hex.
Yeah, he's had his moments on almost every single hero, though. He's just not consistently great on any particular one. I think maybe still Sombra. I think of him as a Sombra, and I think that was probably what he practiced most before being put into this role of having to play absolutely everything, but he's been fine. He's been very good here. And now they like to run this kind of ground defense here. Now Boston will run a Lucio with it as well. Sometimes you can eke out an extra push because you have a limited amount of time, but again, they only need 33%. Boston wants to win this series to try to lock in a #1 seed, to keep at the top of the rankings there, to go undefeated through the stage. Gladiators need to win 2 maps to get into the Stage 3 playoffs.
They need to find success somewhere. A successful defense here, that would be a great way to do it. See if they're going to be able to manage it in the end, as Asher is currently, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he hates plants.
But they keep you alive, Asher. They give you something to breathe.
Those are probably fake plants anyway, plastic.
Oh, well then, yes. Definitely tread, though. Impacting the environment negatively. Come on, I thought this was the future.
He had dreams of being a botanist, and now he's taking out his frustrations on potted plants. The dive is going to have to come in here, and it's going to have to be coordinated. The interesting thing is, does anyone go with them? Does Calyx go up top with them, and then Neko goes to the ground? Or do they just put pressure on the point and make them come down and fight you? You can hug these walls and just put pressure on the point. It's going to be dive instead.
Yeah, and Striker, he was setting it up. They are going to have the full flank, the full commit. Note finds Big Goose immediately. That's a big kill, but they lose Calyx as well here on the Boston Uprising side of things. Note with the D-Mech, and they are just pouring it on. All of the kills for Boston Uprising in the end that matter. And Striker already starting progress on that point. They will be able to run back in here, though, and contest in the nick of time.
Note 3 early kills, and they don't dip their toe onto the point. And that's it. Unceremoniously, anticlimactically, Boston will take 2 maps in short order.
that was cutting it way too close at the end. You're thinking, great, they've got the bodies, they can get back in here and contest.
Perfect strategy, though, because they only need 33%. So let's fight off the point, and then we're going to have all the positioning in the world.
Yeah, it's all going to work out for them. Well, Boston Uprising right now continue the streak. They're 2-0 in this series, and we'll hear what the desk have to say after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Boston is one map away from the perfect 10, and the question is, though, can the Gladiators come back in the half as the Boston Uprising are up 2-0? Welcome back, everyone. Golden Boy alongside with Brennan Sideshow. And, I mean, you know, really, I don't really even know if there's much to talk about on Numbani.
We haven't got into the game yet.
We haven't even gotten into the game yet. It just feels like Boston's just making quick work of the Gladiators. We might as well just go ahead and jump into the highlights here because I did not expect this at all.
Well, honestly, Volskaya was a lot closer, I think, than people will remember after that utter shutout on Numbani. The Gladiators' offense was really good, honestly. Boston are a difficult team to push against. They have a great dive on defense. They're able to get it up. This play from Mistakes where he was able still to get those Dragon Blades off despite being hacked was massively clutch and allowed them to drain tons of time off the clock. But when they were on offense, the Boston Uprising just crushed.
Yeah, absolutely. Destroyed them, dismantled. And again, this is a team that do their research against their opponents. They know how they played. These teams have already battled out once on Volskaya in the previous Game 5 that they had in Stage 2, and it wasn't even more of a shutout than it was today. So Gladiators have clearly prepped for Volskaya, but it still wasn't enough. A big component of that was the 1v1s that they were winning out. Shaz was having a much stronger individual performance, But then we go to Lombardi, and it is just, again, the definition of a shutout, a
Just
full
feels
hold on
like
Lombardi.
the lack of coordination is certainly there. I mean, even saw it on Volskaya, right? Fisher getting a little too over-ambitious on the dives, on defense, and then just getting absolutely melted. And then the lack of coordination just kind of continued from there.
I would say that the LA Gladiators, we expect them to be an aggressive team. Fisher, very aggressive. Bishu likes to go with him. But the whole of the backline is playing very scared in this game. They're not going up with them. They're not getting the heals from Big Goose's Mercy. They're not getting that extra damage from Shaz when they go aggressive. And they sometimes they don't even have Asher or Surefour with them because he's on the Widow or the Soldier. So they're in two separate, distinct lumps. And the offensive side of it, the tanks are just getting blown to pieces. Fisher and Bishu could not survive.
Well, they clearly identified what were the strengths of the Gladiators going into the fight. I mean, we did, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the match here. But another one that actually has been kind of surprising has been the Tracer matchup.
Right, yeah.
Because another one I just didn't expect.
This screams, honestly, that Gladiators have done their homework. They recognize that Striker is one of the key reasons why Boston are so strong on this map in particular. And Asher was winning out a lot of these 1v1s against Striker.
Asher started winning out the 1v1s here. He wins a 1v1, that allows them to take point A. Wins another 1v1 against Striker, that allows them to get 2 ticks, almost complete point B. And at this point, you're thinking, man, Asher's on fire. He's having such a good day. And then Striker starts getting into it. He's feeling the game, gets back in the flow. And then in the end, it was actually Striker that had the largest overall impact. But Asher was setting them up for key win conditions. And that's kind of an unexpected side effect because Striker is probably the best Tracer in the league right now. And Asher, you don't normally put in that same conversation. If he's able to step up to Striker's level, they have a much better chance because they just kind of leave Striker to do his own thing. If he gets taken out in 1v1s when they're not expecting it, that's a huge blow for the Uprising.
You know, last time I was here, I remember a particular British folk said that Striker was the best Tracer in the league. Everyone ignored him.
Everyone did ignore him.
He was the
was the Oracle. Again, the Oracle is never wrong. When are people going to listen?
I don't know.
When are they going to understand? Again, I'm never incorrect. I am always right.
They best learn today, but I need to learn some more. So gather around, children, because it's time for some insights powered by Intel. Josh, what you got for me, baby?
I've got a description of the defensive dives on Volskaya. So I've got an example from both teams. You can see here that it's the Boston Uprising that are on the defense, and they've got all of their front line clustered up here. And Kellex kind of plays Mercy up in the front line. I've obviously highlighted Neko there, not part of the front line, but that's Note. So Note is trying to spam out this Sombra and make sure that Surefour cannot go in Viz and get some hacks on him, so he's just constantly putting out damage there. But what I want to point out is how quickly they go from defensive to offensive. So here, Note just spamming, boom, instantly. They're all diving into the back. But LA Gladiators have a good read on this. They've done their homework, they're able to peel properly, and Gamsu actually falls. But because Boston Uprising have the Genji and the Tracer involved, and because they push up their Mercy and their Zen so far up, Neko came all the way from the back up to here to play a forward position. Kellex came forwards as well. So because they have the pressure from the backline, they're able to keep more people alive. And so this fight doesn't go as disastrously as it might. Now, here's the opposite situation. This is LA Gladiators on the defense. Striker and Asher are taking a 1v1 up at the top. So they're trying to pressure some kind of angle out there. Fisher is coming on a big flank around the back. So he's trying to get in, and this is where Striker landed this ridiculous pulse bomb. But the guys that I want to kind of showcase more than anybody is how far back this backline is. You know what I was talking about before, where they're kind of operating as two chunks?
Pushed up.
What are Big Goose, Shaz, and Surefour really going to contribute to this fight? So you can see that Striker and Asher continue to duel up at the top there. They kind of both go fairly even, but now Striker goes in. I mean, this play here is just ridiculous coming out from Striker. This is one of the things that's just like best Tracer in the world. Hits a flying Winston as he goes past, and the tank line is completely destroyed. But just fundamentally, I think LA Gladiators have got the wrong idea here. There's nobody helping in this dive with the tanks. Where is Asher? What's he up to? He's actually retreating instead of going forwards. And the backline is so far back, getting pressured out by Gamsu and Note. So there's no way that Bishu and Fisher are ever going to be able to pick up those kills as they go in. Even if that pulse bomb hadn't stuck, they would have been able to peel those away. So I think the LA Gladiators, we know that they're an aggressive team. We know that they can play that kind of high-tempo style. So I want to see them play with hydration. I want to see them play with the Genji a little more rather than the Soldier or the Widow. I want to see them get up in the face of the Boston Uprising when they're trying to set up. This was their way of winning, and so far they're playing too scared.
Yeah, it was very clear. It was a tale of two different fights, right, that were going on. And you asked the question, well, where's the support? Where are our support players for the Gladiators pushing up? But they're just getting bopped around by the tanks. They're just getting bopped around by like Gamsu and all that stuff. It's just very difficult for them to get into the fight at that moment.
And this is what happened on Numbani as well. Because they're running Surefire on the Soldier 76, instead of running like Hydration on the Genji, or even Surefire, he can play Genji. They set up with the Soldier and they have to play so much slower. They're not as aggressive. They don't have the help with Fisher when needed. So it all fell to pieces.
Yeah, and I think that actually is a brilliant segue going into our next one, because Numbani, you had a full hold. Boston dismantled the Gladiators.
They really
honestly
did.
just took their shields and just peeled the metal right off. It was horrible.
Lord almighty. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We're going to go with that one. But yeah, another telestration. Who would have thought it? 2 telestrations in the same segment. I mean, it's never been
Dreams
done
come
before,
true,
apparently,
kids.
but dreams do come true. This is really, honestly, what it screams to me is that Gladiators didn't really do their homework as much, and Boston actually did. Boston are looking much better on Numbani in particular, but what really irked me about this was the way that Gladiators were approaching this attack. So you can notice this is a bit more forward than I was hoping for, but we can see that they have a select group of units here that they are just sort of waiting in the back line, and on the low ground in particular, around this area here. And this is the second push into this. And they've done this multiple times where they've tried to make the same push attempt up the gut, right straight up here. And this really does highlight it exactly what I mean now. And Gladiators, they've got the same idea. They want to dive into the backline with Fisher and Bishu and try and take out at least this backline here. But Boston are so good at peeling away, and Numbani as a map, the way it plays out is so good as well at protecting yourself, because you can just run straight away from them. My main issue with this is that Boston, the Gladiators, are not making usage of this high ground. And by the time they did, it was already too late. They'd already lost so many team fights because of it. When you're running a Soldier 76, which Surefire was running in this composition, you want the high ground, because otherwise you have to come all the way up to this line here to get an angle in this section. It's very difficult to really get a lot of pressure and a lot of poke damage in when you have to play around that corner. And Gladiators, they made this push attempt twice in the making.
Again, the tanks, where's Asher?
Where is Asher in this entire move? And again, there's that disjointed conversation that we need to have here, is how are they working together in this fight? It's not coming together. Asher is in the back line. They're trying to orchestrate some sort of push attempt, but it's not happening in the slightest.
There are better options. I mean, because you mentioned it, you can run Surefire on the Genji if you want, right? I mean, sure. Maybe he's not, hydration or whatever, world's best, but it's better than running a 76 up the gut, basically, which is what they did in that instance. And as you had mentioned, 2 times they did
so
that.
They just wasted 2 minutes off the clock.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time on Numbani, because once you lose that first team fight, it's much more defenders favored map, Numbani in particular, because once you die on it, it's the same sort of distance to get back to the point itself for the defenders as well as the attackers. There's not really too much of an advantage for the attackers there, so it's really hard to gain momentum once you lose the first few team fights.
Yeah, so now we're in a position where the Gladiators need to win 2 maps here, as we had talked about at the beginning of the show. It's not about getting the victory. For Boston, it's about getting the victory and getting that perfect 10. But for the Gladiators, getting 2 wins and moving to the playoffs. Gentlemen, Josh, I'm going to start with you. Can they do it?
They are statistically favored on Nepal and Route 66. Their win rates are higher than the Boston Uprising on both of these maps. Nepal in particular, they're very good at. But the way that the Gladiators have been playing right now, I don't think they can do it. I think they've opened up an opportunity for the Philadelphia Fusion to overtake them in the playoffs. They're going to be kicking themselves if they come away with this with an 0-4 sweep. That is not what the Gladiators came here to do.
Do you share his sentiment, Brent?
I agree with it. Again, statistics, we take a look at that. They are favored on the maps. The last time these teams played as well, it was Gladiators that won on Route 66. So there is an advantage for them in that aspect. But again, they are playing against Boston. And that's a team, as we keep saying, they do their homework. They research. Whenever they lose, they go back and they learn exactly what they did wrong, and they do it better next time. So it's going to be difficult for them. Still possible. Again, they are favored if we just look at the stats, but I feel like Boston is probably going to run away with this.
Oh boy, this is going to be very interesting. Perfection is on the horizon for the Boston Uprising. They're so close, and the Gladiators simply need 2 maps, and they're into the playoffs this Sunday. Can they do it? That is the question. Everyone, join us in just a little bit, because we have plenty more Overwatch coming after this. We'll see you on the other side.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Boston Uprising have come out storming to a quick 2-0 lead over the LA Gladiators, and they are just 1 map away from that elusive dime piece, a perfect 10-0 record. Now for the LA Gladiators, this is a serious gut check moment to them, because if they don't push this game to 5 maps, then it's gonna be trouble for them. If they are able to do it, they're in, they can punch their tickets. But if they're unable to win at least 1 map, then they're out of the Stage 3 playoffs for the 2nd time in a row. They'll barely miss out. So we're getting ready to see them hopefully come out this next half firing on all cylinders. But anyways, guys, let's get right back into the action to see if they can pull it off with our casters, Similar and Hex.
Well, you know, it's just like that sign right there, right? That's what Boston are doing. All right, right there.
Yeah, oh, left him hanging. Left him hanging.
I was so distracted because I have my anecdote about the sign. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you know, Boston Uprising, they're doing their good Soldier 76 impression. Get off my lawn, LA Gladiators. Get out of here.
They're trying. Apparently, Sideshow tried to throw a towel during the break. And
I know, he threw it about as well as the Gladiators are playing right now.
How defeated of a man do you have to be to not be able to throw in a towel? That's what I'm just wondering.
Much like the Gladiators. Sorry, I'm just going to keep going. All right, guys, we got a sub coming through here. It is going to be the hydration.
as we move into Nepal, and they do need to win some maps to lock in their Stage 3 playoffs, but even if they get 0-4, then they're just not in control of their own fate. They leave it up to Philly to have to win some maps as well. So they can get 0-4 and still sneak into the playoffs, not exactly the momentum you want to have going into Stage 3 playoffs, but they would like to just take care of business themselves. The desk mentioned on Nepal, they have a very good win rate. They are 8-2 on this map. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, 4-4 for Boston Uprising here. But you got to say, just the eye test and the momentum favors Boston right now, despite what the numbers say.
They are looking very good. And it's not going to come as a shock to any of you because we're about to see the rosters in a moment's time. Bam! On point production. I was walking past the Boston Uprising. You know, they were discussing Nepal right during the break. It's pretty much exactly what they were saying. They're like, they're going to run triple tank. This is how we're going to beat them. They know what's coming.
They run triple tank on several of the stages here, except for Sanctum. Sanctum, they go back to kind of the Widow, and they'll still run tanks. And oftentimes, Short4 and Hydration will switch roles here. So Hydration will play the Roadhog on this map. When we get to Village, Short4 is the one who will play Roadhog instead. But there's no surprises here. Boston is prepared for this. So they're going to throw a Junkrat into the mix. Mistakes on yet another hero. Just looking to get all that chunk damage in, call out his damage so Striker can come in and finish.
Listen, you got specialists, and then you got players like Mistakes who can do it all. Nicely done there by Mistakes, creating some space around himself, just chucking those nades in, and eventually finds the kill on Short4. Going to be a bit difficult there for them to bring it back, considering they have no mercy for the Res Los Angeles Gladiators. Short4 is going to have to jingle-jangle his way back into the fight the old-fashioned way.
And what you can't see is that this kind of composition puts no pressure on the backline for Boston. Neko is a million miles away right now, just living in La La Land as the Zenyatta, putting his orbs in, putting some damage in, but there's absolutely no pressure. And the way they deal with this is they try to send their Roadhog in eventually to get back there, but then you're down in the main fight.
Nicely done by Bishu. Denies the tire. Mistakes, hoping to get the job done. We will have them going for a bit of a ride, though. Fisher cancels out Neko with the trance, meaning the healing is not there for Boston Uprising, but it doesn't seem to matter as they are going to continue the fight. They've got Kelix flying high right now with the Valkyrie just chain healing everybody, and Gamsu launching himself bodily into the fray, batting him off the side.
Bat him off the side, and everyone else will join as a full reset call comes through for the Los Angeles Gladiators. We'll see, yeah, it's going to be some changes right now. They're going to make wholesale changes. They were already behind in the economy based on how badly that last fight went for them, as they got 0 kills and everyone on their team died. So they're just going to take this opportunity to switch the entire composition. As you see the bar in the sky now, no direct answer on the ground for Boston.
As you guys can see, actually, from Hydration's perspective, orbs go flying past, but they're about as effective as anti-flak cannons. Dealing with planes.
Echo finally goes down, so there's finally some pressure onto the backline. Mistakes takes down Hydration with a mine, and now the tire is going to look for a little bit more. Desuited Diva. No, that was Short4 actually goes down. Boston, despite being at the compositional disadvantage, gets all the kills that they need. We're about 80% last fight territory here. There's Mistakes about to hit a mine on a low flying plane. Mines himself up. There's the mine for you. That's what double mine does for Junkrat. Back in the day, he only had one.
That was so cool. Hits a grenade point blank as well, so it makes it happen. Big plays from Mistakes. Striker dancing on the edge right now, going, he's taking the fight to Short4, who will have to group up with the rest of his team, as Shaz is going to be guiding his way in there, trying to keep those team alive. Fisher taking the fight to him yet again. Big goes dropping dangerously low, but Neko's gone. We will trade support for support here, though, so it's back into a 5-on-5. Striker with the stick, though, going to find the kill on Fisher, and this is it. Los Angeles Gladiators getting snuffed one after another.
Mistakes had gone over to the Sombra to put some pressure onto that combo as well. With her spread decrease, she's able to actually shoot a Pharah effectively, and there has been nothing good happening so far for the Gladiators. They will lose the first stage 100-0 with only 3 kills to their name. 2 of them were on Neko.
What do they got against Neko? Does he owe him money or something?
Well, it's 2 on Neko, 1 on Kelix, so they tried to get to the back line, but the rest of the team killed everyone else, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was a dominant performance. Well, we're going to be moving on as well to the Murder Chasm. So we'll get some Orisa in here. We'll start having some fun with that. The shields, the halts, the hooks, the combos.
Everything's murder with you. You're so edgy.
Yeah, exactly, man. These are like, it's not my choice that the hair goes up. I would have it going across my eyes diagonally, right? You know, the swoosh down. Flip it up when I try to make a point.
So, yeah, My Chemical Romance playing in your mind constantly.
There are chemicals, yes, but let's get into the action. Boston Uprising, they're in the lead 2-0, and they're in the lead on this map. Now it's a matter of Los Angeles Gladiators battling back, life or death, playoffs on the line here.
Mirror matchups coming in. The Widow and the Rat going to be the flavor of the day for this point. Right now, Gladiators are trying to rotate through Pack Room. Hydration, seeing what he can find in there. Right, good pressure on the point already for Boston. They're the first on there. It's just both tanks. They're totally squatted up right now. It's just Nako and Mistakes, Short4 and Shaz, both on the bridge, and then the 4 others for either team are trying to play point, but not even contested. Boston gets that one for free.
Oh, looking for shots, looking to change it up. I mean, Short4 doesn't want to have anything to do with this fight, it looks like. Mistakes. Just going to be taking pot shots at the tanks, but that's a big kill there. Bishu manages to find Striker. We will get the res off. Kellick's getting protected, but not well enough. Nope, runs out of D-Matrix, and Kellick's eventually hunted down by Bishu, who's really stepping up right now for the Gladiators, making the plays, finding the kills.
They made a big rotation through Pack Room, and they caught them unawares. They got it in before the infra site came up, so they had no information on where they were coming from. They backed out just to try to put this pressure on the point, and eventually they should take it back over. Decent stall though, and actually Nako's going to just commit the Transcendence, just put his body on the point, and get all the percentage points that they can out of it.
Nearly getting up to 40%, 38%, and the point gets flipped. Los Angeles Gladiators now the ones in control. A couple of ults about to come online for them as well. Bishu with that self-destruct. Yes, thank you very much, Diva. We get it. We can see that. Okay, Zen too. Jesus. Let's keep going. I'm just waiting for Orisa now.
Bunch of chatty catties, right? Stop talking, play the game.
Yeah, man, just focus here, please.
A nice entry shot from Short4. That one hitting the head. Gonna give them pause at least. A nice takedown of that tire. That had a mercy in its sights.
Let's go. Gamsu right now getting lit up with that Discord orb. He's not long for this world. The trance will come out here from Shaz, making sure that his teammates will not get overwhelmed. Doesn't save Bishu's life. The mind's point blank. Gonna bring the heart. Striker. 2 kills for him.
I have no idea how Big Goose got that resurrection off, but he did. It keeps his tank back into the mix, and they're going to hold this point. They've now taken the lead in percentage points as well. They're going to have Supercharger for this next fight, colloquially referred to as the bongos, get everyone that damage boost as well. And it's a great position to use it while you're in control of the point, because as a team, you don't really want to go deal with it. You don't want to have to dive into a team that's already got a damage boost on everybody.
It's not to be shrugged off lightly either. 50%, that definitely sets it up. A lot of pain can get brought very quickly. Shaz with the volley on Nako though to kick things off, and that'll slow things down here for Boston unless we can get Kellick's over there to pull off the res, and it looks like he will. So, back into the fight, 6v6, but the res has been used here for Boston Uprising.
They're just they're not able to find any angles so far. I think they can maybe go through Pack Room like it was done to them. Alex is going to use Valkyrie, but Striker dies in a nearly unresable position. And now Hydration is just raining death from the side.
Too many angles to worry about here. He's going to get the drop on him as well. Mistakes at 95% and counting on his infra sight, but we don't have enough time here. All the kills coming through for Los Angeles Gladiators, who have certainly figured out how to lockstep and march together to victory. 1-1, tied up.
I thought they would have a big advantage on Sanctum. They played well on that stage before, and Nepal will be decided in the village. Very likely you'll see Short4 go over to Roadhog, and now it's just about can they put pressure on the backline. The opening fights that we saw on Shrine, I mean, Nako did whatever he wanted. He just hung out in the back. He had Transcendence up super early because of it. He's just sitting back there throwing in damage. No pressure on him at all. And this is a must-win map for the Los Angeles Gladiators, or this set is going over to Boston, and they will remain undefeated for Stage 3.
No time wasted either here from the Gladiators. They're not going to mess around with the tank strategies that we have seen on this point. They're going to go straight in for the Pharah with Hydration. But we are going to see yet another hero out of Mistakes. It's going to be the McCree now here. So they will have a long-range answer for the Rockets that are just already raining in.
Yeah, they can't even go through that door. They don't want to eat all the damage. They don't want to give charge up. They're going to go back. I bet you Mistakes is going to Sombra here. Yep, that's exactly what he picks. He prefers it to deal with the Pharah in the sky. Hacks are so good, but you know, he's been creative dealing with that Pharah, as we saw him on the Junkrat earlier on Shrine, crushing her as well.
Look at this. Just raining in Rockets with impunity right now. 39% and counting on the barrage, and they will be able to sneak their way through here onto the point. Boston Uprising. Will they be able to contest in time? Yes, Striker makes his move. Gets in there, and we will have the reverse now. 3 players here, and it's capping quick. They got to get some kind of presence here, and Gladiators will just eventually sneak a body on, but Not fast enough.
As Transcend, or this Zenyatta caught out all alone, and Neko will be the first to die. Meanwhile, some progress being made on the point. Hydration fighting in a room with a ceiling, not ideal, but I don't think it matters. Mistakes will punish him. Still a lot of free percentage coming over. That's a reset right there. Short 4 will escort him back to spawn.
Time shots in the end, and they will give up the initial point cap only to win the fight and start making progress. Gladiators right now, this is it, their moment. They cannot back down. They have to step up the game right here, and while they found the solution so far, Boston Uprising now waiting on that EMP from Mistakes to get active perhaps for the next fight. Oh, look at this, Sure4. He's just waiting to drop the pulse bomb.
Look, and there's been a lot of pressure over the top from Hydration too. He's got Barrage, he's gonna make it rain momentarily. It'll be a good place for a pulse bomb. It's not end up finding much.
Oh, I think it got eaten there. So we'll see as they are pushing their way through here. Kellex trying to lead the way. Gamsu was way deep in enemy territory. Hydration eventually hunts him down, but Striker will find the DMAC on Bishu. That'll soften things up here for the Gladiators, who are at 39% and counting. Hydration with a surprise barrage in the corner, but no, there's no way to get out of harm's way there. Nope. That was a perfect self-destruct. I'll do you one better, Hydration.
Rains in just to try to prevent access from the point, but they do a smart move and back out immediately. Fissure's diving into the back line, trying to get a little bit done. EMP comes out, but Mistakes gives his life for that chance.
Gets canceled out. Doesn't manage to get it off. Nobody there, and so it is going to be 3 quick kills coming through. Kellex hanging on by a thread. Eventually gets caught by Hydration, who ran back in on the Sombra, but Striker's there to trade that kill, and it's going to be Bishu eventually overwhelmed here.
It's a brawl on the point. He's trying to get into his mech there. Will take note out for it. Trying to re-mech nowadays is just not works for team. If you're trying to get a new mech just by self-destructing, you might as well save it for the next one. Teams have gotten so good at killing Baby Divas. They understand the time window. They understand where she's going to be. In the last week or two, we've seen so many people try to get their re-mech, which had happened in the first 2 stages of Overwatch League. Not anymore. You might as well just die.
Yeah, they are so good at focusing it down with the timings. It is going to be Gamsu putting on a bit of his juggling skills. Sets up the 2 kills, cleans up the point, and now they will start making some more progress here. 40% and counting for Boston Uprising. Sure4 dancing on the edge. Striker will find him, huck him over the side of it, and there's a great stick. Follows it up. Striker right now doing the work for Boston Uprising, keeping them in this fight.
He was the reason they won the last fight. Him and Gamsu just put on their collective carry pants. Still putting a lot of pressure on. They bring Fissure back into this mix. Gladiators are only in a 1-fight situation. They're 81%, Hydration falling. They still want to brawl this up, but now an EMP is no longer an option.
They managed to find a couple of big kills here. Are they going to keep a body alive on the point, though? Note is still here. He's got the self-destruct. Big Goose gets caught in the corner. That's not going to help things. Striker and Mistakes trying to get in here to support Note, who will commit the self-destruct, but Bishu there with one of his own. Striker trying to deny the remake. Bishu just barely sneaks back in.
Just barely got back in, as did Note. Note got back in his mech at about 10 HP. He goes down shortly after. The Gladiators looking to flip this one back over 81% to 85%. There are remnants of the Boston Uprising still in this. There's 3 trying to get out, but right now the Gladiators are not chasing them down. 90%, they will have someone in the mix to touch because Mistakes will very likely go invisible just to put pressure on the point. Time to regroup. Last fight of the map.
Well, let's go. Gamsu and Mistakes leading the way. Striker there as well. Instant pressure, but then Sure4 is there to collapse on Neko. Big Goose is gone, though. That's not going to help things here for the Gladiators as Shaz decides to get the trance out, but he's getting pushed off of the point. Gamsu denying that key healing. The team not able to back it up. Neko brought back to life by Kellex, and this is looking like Boston Uprising should be able to turn this fight their way. It's so close, though, as Striker's trying to hang in this fight.
Oh, they got the key resurrection on Neko there, and he helps take down Fissure. Now, here comes the reinforcements, and again, Kellex will fall. The Gladiators putting the shields up. Will take Nepal. Not done yet.
So close. Every little detail coming into that fight at the end. And really, it is going to be the Gladiators on home turf. Saying that this is their map. Well, Boston, they had Volskaya. Gladiators, they are seriously comfortable on Nepal by the looks of it. They were able to bring it back and make it work for themselves. So they are still in the running here for the playoffs and for this series. We'll find out how it all plays out here on map 4 coming up after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. and by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Get away from players like Linkser on the Tracer. Now getting very close, building up the ult, and there it is. Oh, okay, the coalescence coming out here. Jaehong's just giving the Houston Outlaws a good hosing down. Oh, they're clean indeed. But that push from Soul was nothing but dirty.
This is looking great for Los Angeles Gladiators.
Boston with a ton of momentum.
Hydration, cutting them apart. Short four, a man possessed.
Gamsu mistakes a striker with Kelix, all deathless so far.
Just out and out brutality.
Boston so far so good. Meko playing out of his mind at the moment.
Shaz with the trance.
What a great hold from Boston.
Icing on the cake. All right, welcome back from the break, everybody. And it was a great break, too, because, you know, Seoul, they came in, they were handing out these nice towels of
Team of the
theirs.
day?
Super cool.
Yeah.
Except that now, thanks to the Gladiators, you know, we won't be needing those because they're out of the playoffs. So, done. You know, Seoul, better luck next time. Thanks for the towel, though. But, you know.
Thanks. Thanks for the towel. Seoul officially eliminated from the Stage 3 playoffs. Of course, they will play later today. Of course, season rankings still on the line as well. The Gladiators are now at least in control of their own destiny. If they win one more, they're locked in. If they don't win one more, at the very least, there's going to be a play-in game with Philadelphia. Philadelphia would have to 4-0 Valiant, so a small sigh of relief. Not over yet.
Let me go ahead and get my notes
But
out.
also, yeah, I know, it updates a lot. Yeah, I'm surprised all these numbers haven't gone to mush in my head. But, I mean, they still... To be the team going into the playoffs, the one team that beat Boston this stage has to be on their mind as well. You know, if you get into the playoffs and Boston, maybe they don't want to pick you right away because the first seed is going to be able to pick who they play against. We do have Asher coming in as we head over to Route 66. You know, much like Volskaya, a lot of Widow, a lot of Tracer.
Lot of Widow. Well, who is a good team with Widow and Tracer, Hex? Answer me that.
I mean, like every team.
Okay.
in the Overwatch
I mean, maybe I need to
League.
be more specific in this matchup. Both of them too, damn it. All right, yeah, we'll just keep going. All right, Boston, Mistakes and Surefour have been having a good time together, but then Strikers has been pulling ahead in that Tracer duel, so it is going to come down to Asher and whether or not he can shut down the man in question. Striker, just such a beast.
Yeah, a lot goes on to the tanks here too. I mean, we talk about Widow and Tracer, but the Winston's being able to pressure aforementioned Widow is so important too, because then it opens things up for your own Widow. And both these teams are very good at letting their tanks take some damage in front of the Widow before they fire shots. It's one of the strategies a lot of the teams in the Overwatch League are employing. But when it all comes down to it, it's which Widow is going to hit the headshots that they need. And if they want to study a masterclass, look at what Pine did yesterday on this map.
Oh, there you go, Bishu. Already trying to draw out the shots, taking a bit of a peek. Yeah, well, nice spot there by Surefour. No Venom Mine for you, Mistake.
So, you see the stat there, Surefour has been going after DPS a little bit more on the Widow than Mistakes, 11% more. To Mistakes' defense, though, he's had to play a lot of different heroes. Surefour has actually been able to play a lot of just straight up Widow in this stage.
Yeah, he's been able to zero in, kind of focus on that. I mean, it's handy with the scout. And there you go, sure enough. Catches Mistakes looking the wrong way. Some great distraction play going on here from Los Angeles Gladiator, offering too many targets. Mistakes getting a candy store. He didn't know who to shoot in the head until Surefour solved that for him.
They're going to get a lot of push on this card, and it's going to be questionable to see if Boston even comes out and fights this. They are posturing up to do so. At least Gamsu's going to come out early, but he's getting body blocked early on by Bishu. They are going to brawl this one out, though, and a boot to the face of Asher.
That's a painful boot, too. Just no fun. Surefour, though, he's looking for it. Ooh. I love Widow duels. There we go. Mistakes comes through with the headshot, wins it in the end.
Meanwhile, Gladiators continue to push. They're going to res up. Surefour Fissures popped his Primal Rage. Going to be batting around that Omnic Balloon. Echo completely out of position now. Looking to finish this one off. This forces out the Transcend. Meanwhile, Mistakes is still getting kills.
Yeah, still finding the headshots. So DPS has now been clipped here for Los Angeles Gladiators. Surefour trying to do the best that he can, looking for an opening angle, and he's going to take a big play all the way out and back. Does he find anything from it, though? No! Striker is there. Yes, he does find the kill, but can Striker get the punish? No, he has to back off, consolidate with the rest of his team.
Surefour hits the shots that he needs. Meanwhile, he's going to pop Infra Sight. Neko does finally fall. It's been very back and forth between these two so far, but with both supports of Boston falling, that might be just about it, because Fissure very low as well, though. They're getting pushed back despite both supports. Now they're going to push onto the card.
Yeah, Fissure does get caught note with the fresh mech. He will get demeched immediately, though. The focus fire comes through. Mistakes finds the headshot on Surefour. That's going to slow things down, and they are still trickling in. Boston Uprising refusing to give up on this fight. Kelix eventually will get laid low. And there we go. First point picked up here for the Gladiators. 4 minutes in the bank.
That's the problem with that kind of half re-engage that they pulled off there. You see Kelix's corpse will go away, then they get a kill onto Neko as well. Economy in pretty decent shape for the Los Angeles Gladiators as they push forward. They're going to have nearly both support ultimates ready. The only one that they're missing is going to be Bishu in the tank ultimate. Surefour a bit of ways on his Infra Sight, so Mistakes will have the edge in that duel when time comes.
Sight of one of these Widows, I believe it is Mistakes. Who's gotten that into the fight? Yes, he is allowing Boston Uprising to see through walls now, and they are going to take advantage of it. Bishu instantly demaxed and killed, but Fissure's there to find Neko. No more Discord Orb to worry about for Fissure. That's a happy month right there.
Asher pops it up. Gamsu's going to have to pop Primal Rage on the point, but meanwhile, Fissure is doing his own work in the back lines as well. They gave up a lot of free push, but now we're re-engaging. This one has been so back and forth on the second point, first point as well. It's been hard to call these fights, but Surefour taking down Kelix is usually a good sign that the team without the Mercy is going to lose it.
Yeah, they're going to lose that through that throughput, that healing. So key, and they are giving quite a bit of ground now, Boston Uprising. I mean, this series is definitely not over yet. Los Angeles Gladiators looking very good here on this second point. 2-1 the score for Boston, but Los Angeles, they need to pick up this second point. There is going to be enough time here for Boston up to group up once again, get that killer death ball together, and start making their way out onto the point to contest.
They're going to have Transcendence whenever they want it. Surefour hits a nice shot on the Striker. He will die from the damage over time. There goes Mistakes as well. No DPS now. How are you going to kill anything?
Asher with the stick. Gamsu's dead. Launches himself bodily into the air, though, so we will not get multi-kills off that pulse, but it's going to be enough Big Goose will bring Shaz back into this fight, but Surefour in all of that chaos, yet again able to connect a bullet with Mistake's head.
His tanks have made it so easy for him. He doesn't even have to look in more than one place. There's about 10 pixels he's responsible for right down in that hallway. They're bullying him back in there, and he's just gonna fire down range to take people out. He's connecting with the shots he needs though, and so far the Gladiators offense has looked very good. It's a fast time through second point.
This is definitely an improvement. Because we are going to be moving through now. Payload making its way forward towards that third and final point. And it is going to be Fisher kind of poking around here on the edges, looking to catch somebody out of position. And while he is going to be here to accept Gamsu, it's going to be a taser battle. Nobody wants that. They decide to back off and reschedule.
Tank was able to take down his counterpart in Shaz. Hard to tell where he died, if it's going to be a resible position or not. It does not appear so considering the full retreat that they're pulling off now. Mistakes finally get something going on Surefour. Noticing Rez there just to get back in the mix quicker because he died very near spawn.
Yeah, shame that Mistakes wasn't able to go for the repeat there. I didn't think that there was going to be the body block for Big Goose to get that res off. But Mistakes can see through walls. He's got the info.
Surefour is going to check his angles here. We've seen Widows take some very interesting approaches to this map.
Surefour has been the one step ahead of Mistakes, constantly coming up with the clever angles. Going to be hunting for the shot, misses it. That gives away his position. Kelix knows, and Mistakes launches himself into the air. Don't even think Surefour was going for that, but he just happened to take it anyway.
He'll take it, but because he missed Kelix, Mistakes is now back into the mix. He had 2 free shots at Kelix. He's unable to hit either of them. He continues to go back and forth, but meanwhile, every time these fights are going back and forth, the Gladiators are keeping their eye on the prize. They've had free push during most of these fights.
Yeah, constantly, exactly. They've always got a body on that payload. Yeah, sure enough, it is approaching its destination. Bishu leaves a bloody spear on the floor that used to be Kelix, but it is going to be the fight continuing here. Self-destruct goes off. It's going to be a fresh mech. And Asher with the stick. Again, the key kills coming in here for Los Angeles Gladiators.
They have to pop ultimates just to try to keep some pressure on this. Big Goose will eventually fall. That might be enough for the Gladiators to fall back and regroup. Now with, yeah, they're just gonna wait, take their moment. Surefour is so close to Infrasight, and it's not just an ult for Widow v Widow duels. Giving your team the information of where the other team is at all times is one of the most powerful ultimate abilities in the game.
Oh, absolutely. That's why people get banned for life over it. So, let's go. Surefour. What's going to happen here?
These are sanctioned wall hacks. They're part of the game.
They're obviously dev sanctioned wall hacks. They don't have them on all the time. All right, let's get into it here. Surefour. Oh! Body shot on the Kelix. Drops him low. No follow-up, though. Kelix will survive. Gets topped up again real quick there. Bishu and Shaz finding the kills at least. The DMAC and the follow-up. The payload continue to make progress. Just put a body on the point right now, Gladiators. Striker's going to be there to contest us a little while longer, but Bishu trying to keep that eye on the prize, as you said.
All this pressure coming onto the point means that Surefour was able to sit back there and try to shoot them, but now he's taking an aggressive angle at the top left. Tanks will fall, but they're going to keep going in on this one. Shaz going to double down Transcendence into the corner. A self-destruct just to get a new mech.
There's Surefour finding Striker. So, no, charge it in there bodily. Gamsu with the fresh bubble. He will be able to reach in some HP, but there's nobody to contest the point in Asher. Yet again, keeping that presence on the payload, it will allow them with 5 seconds in the bank. Okay, 5 seconds in the bank. Gladiators will pick up 3 points.
It's very close early on, about an even number of kills on both sides as they brawled it out through that first point. But after that, it was all Gladiators from second all the way to last, really unstopped most of the time, and they will double the amount of kills, nearly 37 to 14. The Gladiators owned stage 2 and 3 there. No real pressure on Surefour in the backline. You don't want to commit your tanks or anyone to go die for them, because that leaves your own backline exposed. That's why the best answer to a Widow is always a Widow of your own. Mistakes not really putting enough pressure onto Surefour there.
Yeah, Surefour with the clever angles as well. The clever angles constantly getting the one-up on Mistakes.
I mean, 5 eliminations, 4 final blows for Mistakes compared to his 7 deaths on the other side of things. Surefour, 16, 11, and died only 3 times.
Yeah, no, a pretty beastly performance. Actually, from both of the Boston DPS, they kind of underperformed. Striker not up to that level that we're of excellence that we're used to seeing from him. So perhaps a change to the game plan will be necessary here. I mean, it wasn't a fantastic time for the Gladiators, so it's definitely, we're making it sound a little grim here for Boston, but they are still in a pretty decent spot. Only 5 seconds left in the bank for Gladiators.
I mean, it has been, you know, a tough map to finish. There's some teams that have never finished this map so far in this stage. But yeah, I think Striker had an uncharacteristically off game. You saw early on stage 1, he was unable to pressure short for enough, unable to finish a kill. That's a one clip that you usually see from Tracers, enough to at least get them out of there. And then late in it, he was blinking by, and short 4 put him down. He's a DPS hunter on that Widow, and we'll see if they can redeem themselves on the offense. As Boston tries to close out this series, and Gladiators try to send us to a map number 5.
There we go, rockets get thrown in, micro missiles. They will get canceled out immediately though, and the progress will continue to make some, well, the payload rather will make some progress here for Boston Uprising. Mistakes already hunting aggro for an angle. Headshot onto Beishu, that'll ring his bell, but it will not commit him to a new mag. Big Goose will top him back up immediately. And in the meantime, the duel going on between Striker and Asher, trying to find an opening. Striker.
I mean, this is the corner that the tanks start tickling each other and they see who's getting a little bit more damage, but it really is just about opening it up for your Widow. The defensive side, you're always going to hug this wall. Asher and Striker having a little mini battle on the side of the map here. Mistakes, that's not the grapple he was looking for. Didn't get himself high enough to really take even a shot at it.
We spot out Surefour though.
Both these tanks are gone. I mean, it's going to be difficult. Striker's going to come back though, and that's the shot you need.
That's the big one. Surefour laid low, out in the open as well, makes it very difficult, and there will be the Venom Mine. Asher, however, will survive, it looks like. And he is going to hang in there, but that is not going to allow him to live long. Striker will be there to pounce. We have a couple of bodies still high on the ground here for Los Angeles Gladiators, but they're getting cleaned up one after another and eventually relegated back to spawn.
They brought Chaz back to life. Mistakes having a much better half so far here, already nearly doubling his eliminations and kills. 8 and 6 now, still 7 deaths, but that's no problem. He's been playing much better on the offense. The advantage of knowing the angles here, and now he's going to pop the infra sight as well. It's going to be difficult to re-engage. You're not going to surprise anyone, Gladiators.
Oh, you're going right through those choke points, and they're ready and waiting. Surefour finds the headshot on Mistakes, though, but we do lose Fisher for the Gladiators, and it's going to be tough for Big Goose to bring him back, although he will try, and yes, he will succeed. Fisher back in the fight. Striker, he's got his pulse. Is he going to find a target, though? Big Goose gets overwhelmed.
Tanks making just so much space again on the offense. They're punishing these resurrections. They're allowing the resurrections to go off, but generally that person is killed yet again right afterwards. Boston makes short work of the first push here.
That was squeaky clean, Hex.
See if Note can find anything here. He's been so much better lately on the self-destructs. I mean, Winston's got so much credit in the first couple stages, but this stage to me has been all about the divas. That is a beautiful peek by Mistakes. Insta-res, but that's still a kill worth taking. They're going to have a resurrection advantage now, will Boston.
Yeah, for this next fight, Beishu trying to turn around, dodging those headshots. Don't want to give any freebies over to Mistakes, who's definitely warmed up. And now Mistakes has got the angles. He knows where Surefour's playing from as well on the high ground right. And so Payload is making progress. That's going to be Kelix and Gamsu keeping a presence there. Striker there as well, although we will have Asher with the attempt, and Asher with the stick. Pulse bomb onto Striker, eliminated from the fight already.
Don't see that too often. His self-destruct's going to come up over the top, clear some room, try to get a new mech. Kelix is going to bring Striker back into this. Meanwhile, Gamsu is clearing some space out there, trying to take as much free push as possible. They will get it around this bend.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. It is going to be coming in now, though. Fisher looking deep, and Surefour finds the headshot. Striker getting the punish, though, trading it 1-for-1. Widow's out of the fight, but Kelix, more importantly, has been overwhelmed. We lose Shaz, and we lose Nago. We're losing everybody here. It's just everybody dying.
There's no healing left on the map except for this payload. That could be a small advantage for the offensive team. Striker able to get the big pack. Good control there. Meanwhile, it is just tanks and tracers trying to battle over this cart.
Surefour there with the headshot on Striker, but Kelix is back in this fight. He will get the res off. And somehow Fisher dies to a Venom Mine from Mistakes. So, more push coming in here for Boston Uprising.
Fisher was very low, and the pack got stolen from him earlier. Yeah. Tracer, pack control, hand in hand.
There you go. I mean, it is a bit of the game within the game. Striker definitely one of the all-stars with that one.
Both support ultimates up for both teams, so I imagine a contest is going to be here. Can either of these Widows take the Valkyrie Mercy out of the sky?
So incredibly difficult to hit that shot. They're so quick in the air, and there we go. Surefour taking advantage of the infra site. Will win the duel versus Mistakes. Kelix will be there to get the res, and Shaz gets run over by Note. So right at the doorstep here of the second point, Boston Uprising looking for the kills, and they'll find them. Fisher and Surefour gone from the fight. Asher trying to do the best that he can, and Beishu back on the point. He's putting the pressure on Kelix, but it's not going to be for long. 5 members alive here for Boston Uprising, ready to just pound these Gladiators into dust.
They will get run over figuratively and literally on the way to second point. It was a bit of a brave move by Calyx to go back and resurrect mistakes during that. The Valkyrie healing wasn't there for his team, but they were still healed up during the main fight. And now 3:20 on the clock for Boston to close out this map. And what a tale of two halves it's been for mistakes.
A tale of two headshots. That was close. He nearly picked up Surefour as well. That's right. Hello, mistakes.
He's only died 3 times this half compared to the 7 on the other half. And now he's at 21 and 10. He's starting to rival Surefour in the statistical numbers. Woo.
That's going to chase him back, though. Asher will find Nako. Headshot there, but they are still making progress and they still have plenty of time in the bank. There's that stick. Not going to find it, though. It's going to be 2 minutes 50 on the clock here for Boston Uprising, still with time left to be very patient with this advance as they are just whittling down the defense. Bishu with the D-Mech, and then he gets deaded.
It's been just all offense on both sides of this map, but Boston's done it a little bit quicker. You look back at maybe first point might be the difference between these two maps, where Boston's defense was a little bit stronger. 2.5 minutes remain. They continue to push progress on the payload, and Pulse Bomb is ready and lurking for Striker.
Not ready for it, waiting. Get spotted, just, well, that's not too much, just gonna put him on notice. And well, here's the opportunity. Pulse goes in, not gonna quite get the stick though, unfortunately for him. They are quick enough to get out of there. And we will have the trans getting thrown in here by Shaz, just desperate to keep Fisher alive, but once again has thrown himself bodily into the back line, trying to find the kills, but Boston were ready for it, and Shaz is eliminated.
Dueling Transcendence re-engagement there. Mistake still sitting in the back line. He's getting pressured a little bit. Man, that's another Venom Mine that hit. He's had great placement on these.
He constantly gets value out of him, it seems. Asher right now, I mean, he's doing a great job at distracting mistakes. Asher needs to kind of get in here to help whittle down these tanks. And well, sure enough, with both supports dead here from Boston Uprising, they will finally be sent packing.
So close though. 90 seconds now to go to finish this series out, or at least put us to another half of Route 66 at the very least. But the Gladiators have done a very good job of banking up ultimates. No support ultimates up for either team. Gladiators with nearly everything else. Calyx is about to get Valkyrie, but this is such a hard timing window to hit. When you have Valkyrie, the other team doesn't, because you can just lose track of all the healing that happens.
Asher, he has definitely stepped up here on this third point defense, it seems. So, gonna keep on him for a little bit longer, I guess because he has a Pulse Bomb ready to blow somebody up.
Pulse Bomb and Infrasight is a great combination to know where your priority targets are. Rather than having to chuck it at a tank, you're hitting a Mercy instead, but 2 go down quick.
2 go down quick, and they can keep getting this progress. LA Gladiators letting Boston Uprising walk the point right in, nearly on top of it. Last second contest coming in. Asher, Fisher trying to keep the fight alive, but the focus fire is going to be too good, and there is nobody here to contest. Never mind, Bishu comes out of nowhere. Keeps it rolling. Big Goose on the Dome Fist. Sent home, and it will be a very quick take. 1:23 on the clock here for Boston Uprising.
Yeah, but the other side does get a full minute instead of just 5 seconds, because that's no way to play a map with only 5 seconds remain. So they will bump up the time as close can be between these two teams. Total death kills, 53-51.
Yeah, definitely brought it back. It's the offensive game here, Hex.
I think it's a death kills. It's like a Demolition Man reference.
Okay, Death Clock. Let's just go in. So metal.
So murderous. Brutal. That's how close it's been, and the offense has been favored in these positions. Widow is just always going to be the aggressor on the offense. You get to take those better angles. There's a lot of it. And yeah, that's a nice little rawhide.
Yeah, and mistakes, he's certainly awoken. He has awoken in the second half offense.
Yeah, his first half offense, or first half stats on defense were just abysmal. They were terrible. He got completely shut down. Tale of two halves for the Widow. I mean, you just have better angles. There's better grapple targets here to be able to take those angles, and just took advantage of it. And this one's going to be close.
Yes.
23 seconds is nothing. It means absolutely nothing in this situation, in my opinion, because you're going to either be on the cart pushing it and you're going to get pushed off, or not. That 20 seconds, you're not going to have time for a reset to get back to the cart. I don't think it's going to matter just because how this map plays out, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong.
The Gladiators fans would be as well. Now, let's see, how far are the Gladiators going to get it? Gotta start keeping that pressure on. 50 seconds here left on the clock already. Not a whole lot of time. They're pretty much just gonna have to keep a body on that point at all times. Can't get caught napping. Can't pull a London.
And these are the type of situations where the defense is going to give up some push here because they don't want to lose a fight and then give up even more. So what you're looking for is one fight, one play. These are where heroes are made in Overwatch.
30 seconds.
We're on the hunt for one of those heroes in question. Looking for the shot. Nako there to kick things off. Asher takes a volley of orbs to the face. Beautiful flick from Surefour. Annihilates mistakes, and now he gets free reign. Although he will get focused immediately by Striker. Hangs in there, just survives by a thread. And well, now this is going to be quite a bit of progress made here for Los Angeles Gladiators. Boston Uprising having to give ground.
They brought mistakes back into the mix, though, so the Widow duel will commence. Now they have to stay on the cart. That's the dramatic music that you hear. Should they get off it for any second, overtime will end.
Well, B should be able to get a new mech. He's right on the edge. Sure enough, manages to get it. Mistakes of Nako gone here for Boston Uprising, and Los Angeles Gladiators going to be able to get a whole lot of progress here. No backing off, just, sacking his healers as he goes. Bishu finds a kill on Kelix, and that is not going to help things here for the defense. Los Angeles Gladiators will be picking up this point, and that is fantastic considering they had a minute on the clock to get it done.
Fisher's just wearing a pelt of Boston Uprising players around his neck right now because he got, I think, 4 kills there during the entire time. He turned it up. Look at this, 92%. Gamsu on the other side actually very close. These Primal Rage is so important in overtime because, like I said, it is objective-based. You're not going to get more time. One wayward step, one side or the other, are getting knocked off of the cart, and it could end your push.
And well, Big Goose, he knows what's at stake. He's going to get the wings going right now. This is the spot in the playoffs on the line right now as far as Los Angeles Gladiators are concerned. They need to show their best. And well, Striker already dropped down to 31 HP. Fish are going to let him live. Fisher got eyes on the prize. He wants to get into that back line as he always does.
Striker was baiting him out of position so that he could recall, get back into the fray a little bit quicker. Everyone is throwing their ultimates at this fight. Self-destruct out on both sides. And here comes the Transcend, but Bishu's just on cart duty. They're going to leave him here as much as possible. He sends in his self-destruct. Meanwhile, 2 go down.
I mean, every meter matters right now, and the fact that Bishu, yeah, okay, maybe his team are dying, but they've gotten so much progress out of this payload. He will eventually go down. Asher is still here to contest, but he's not going to make it in time. That wick burns down the longer. Overtime is in play.
It's a very good push, though. They should be pretty happy with that push that they ended up getting there. Very, very winnable. Yeah. A minute remaining. No longer. Now, $1.23, I believe, on the other side, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, not a monstrous amount of time. You're right. Those 23 seconds now, maybe not going to matter at all, Hex.
No, I mean, not a second push, because you're not even going to get it to where they got it in 123. So it's all about keeping a presence on the cart. You saw that Bishu's only job from first until wherever was just stay on the cart. And I was a little surprised he even sent that self-destruct in when he did, because then you're putting yourself in such a vulnerable position as Pilot Diva on the cart. The rest of the team didn't react to it, but he gets those extra meters, and that could be the difference in this entire matchup.
100%. That has been a bit of the calling card here for the Los Angeles Gladiators.
Stays so close. 58-59.
Attackers
kills.
Incoming in
Team to team.
seconds.
Yes, who's going to pull ahead? Well, Gladiators are in the head right now by 1 frag. But is it going to be Mistakes who's going to have that revitalization of his performance now that he's going to get to be on the offense, and Surefour is going to be on the receiving end? And we'll see here. Boston Uprising. 10 seconds until they kick off the action, and they aren't going to really be changing too much. Don't get your hopes up about the Hanzo. He's just going to be checking the trains.
Don't want to get train wrecked in this situation, because honestly, that wouldn't be a terrible defensive strategy. To fight out here once means you get another fight when they get around to Big Earls. The problem with that is that it can snowball, and you're just feeding up ultimates. So if you try to be very aggressive on the defense and it doesn't work out, you put yourself behind the 8 ball for the rest of the map.
So just a little poke here. Note on the high ground. Keeping it going, bit of a body shot, just a dent in the paint job, not the end of the world for him as far as he's concerned. And so with 60 seconds remaining, they're about to round the bend, and we need to start hitting some headshots here if you're on the Widows. Striker will get the recall off in time, stays alive in this fight, and Fisher drops dangerously low, but he will get topped up here by Big Goose. And there we go, Surefour kicks things off, finds the headshot on Nako. Mistakes still looking to trade this, and he will be caught sleeping. Surefour stepping it up now when it matters most.
And that headshot Striker has to finish these kills right here. He does get Shaz down, but they've lost the Zen of their own.
They've lost the Zen, and well, there is going to be a bit of an edge here as we have Surefour and Asher still alive in the back. Gamshu gets overwhelmed by the DPS, and Los Angeles Gladiators are looking to be in a fantastic position here. 20 seconds left on the clock for Boston Uprising.
Striker has taken this into his own hands, though. He is going deep on it. He's taken 1v3s where he has to. He takes Asher in the back. He's been the only person getting the kills that they need for Boston, and he has opened it up for them. Now, they are out of time. Have to stay on the payload through second, and I think the Gladiators are going to take this chance to completely regroup. The last thing you want to do is come in here now and feed, so they're going to set themselves up in the perfect defensive posture for 2.
Definitely thought that perhaps they try to make their way in there, but they do not want, given how much room they have to work with here. You guys can see the rectangle of victory. It's not that deep past the second point, or past the first point, rather.
It could be Striker here. He was such an all-star for Boston throughout most of the season. He's been in the MVP conversation, quite honestly, one of the best tracers in all of the Overwatch League. Can make an argument that he is the best tracer in all of Overwatch League. Looking to win this one for his team right now. A Pulse Bomb could just win a fight for you.
Yeah, hands down. He finds the appropriate target, but they're so spread out right now on the Gladiator side that they are going to have to start grouping up. It is going to be time to start contesting this payload as it makes its way towards the rectangle, as Fisher launches himself bodily in. Note, hanging on by a thread, but not for long. He will get the self-destruct, so that will be a fresh mech, and Kellex playing the angles correctly. They're not allowing Surefour to take a shot at him. Both of the Valks in play here. It's going to be Nako with the delayed transom. That might be the difference maker as Shaz goes leaping in here, trying to follow up on Fisher. Not quite going to find it in Boston Uprising. They're keeping that presence on the payload.
Nako's going to get there too as well. That is a huge kill. Striker does take down Shaz, looking for a little bit more. Note still on payload duty. Both supports down for Los Angeles.
This could be disastrous. It's up to Asher now to make the big play happen here. Striker finds Beishu. Asher trying to keep a presence on the point. Striker finds Surefour as well. They're getting whittled down, and there's such a long run back for the Los Angeles Gladiators. It is not looking like it's going to happen for them. It will be Boston picking up the series 3-1. No map 5 this time, and more importantly, a flawless stage 3.
Boston undefeated throughout the stage. The Gladiators, though, not quite in the playoffs yet. If you're a Gladiators fan, oddly enough, now you have to be a Valiant fan too, as they cannot. If the Valiant win a map against Philly, that's fine. So the LA team's going to be looking out for each other. But Boston, all the credit in the world. Unbeaten through the stage, looking flawless at times. Still a beatable team, but man, they look so crisp. And you can't talk enough about Striker. He just so clutch. When they need him the most, he plays the best.
Beginning of the end. At the beginning of this map, 5 limbs, 1 final blow. He ends this map with 41 limbs, 20 final blows. The guy came alive when his team needed him to. When he needed to step up, he was there to make it happen. He is ending that map on fire, and the series as well. We're taking a break. We'll hear what the halftime desk, or what the desk has to say after that.
Nice, maybe there. Take her. Where's Widow? One key. I know that. Play my key. You can burn my key. Card low. Focus on card. Trace one, real one. Monkey. Diba. Burn the leave. Watch you do. Doom there. Nice. Baby. Get you rest. Nice.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
Zoe, and I'm joined by Striker from the Boston Uprising. Please give it up for him and his team. You are the first and only team in this league who go undefeated in this stage, or any stage for that matter, 10-0. How did you guys get it done?
저희 팀들이 많이 연습하고 다 같이 스태프, 팀원들 노력도 잘 해주고 신뢰도 다른 팀보다 더 튼튼해서 10연승하게 된 것 같아요.
We were able to get the 10-win streak because of all our staff, all our teammates. We put in a lot of hard work, and we were focused and we were determined, and that's how we got the win.
Well, and that was definitely showing for you and your team on that stage. Now, you didn't lose a series, but a lot of those matches look fairly close, I would say, with a lot of map 5s going on. Where do you feel personally your team still needs some improvements?
저희가 잘하는 맵은 승률이 엄청 좋은데 못하는 맵은 승률이 너무 낮고 그래서 그런 걸 보완을 좀 많이 해야 될 것 같아요.
So there's certain maps that we are really good at, and also at the same time, there's certain maps that we're kind of lacking behind. I feel like in order for us to, going forward, just improve on the maps that we aren't too sure or too good at.
All right, well, can't wait to see that happening. Now, one last question. With this victory, your team secures that #1 seed, and that means for the first round in the playoffs, you get to choose your opponents. Now, I don't want to hear what team you chose, but I do want to know if you already discussed which opponent you want to be facing off against.
아직은 안 정했고요. 이제 가서 팀원들과 스태프들이랑 얘기해서 고를 겁니다.
So for now, we haven't actually decided yet, but now because we're #1, we'll go back, talk with the staff and the teammates, and we'll decide our opponent.
All right, well, that's going to happen very soon. So thank you so much, Striker, and the Boston Uprising. Once more, put your hands together for his team. They have qualified with a clean victory right there. Now, this is it from Silver Girl. Back to Golden Boy and the Bronze Brits on the desk.
Bronze
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, the opposite of bronze.
Zoe was shining, okay? Shining there. I just want to say thank you, and thank you so much. You know, I mean, I know that my name is Golden Boy, but I always like to stay golden. Nice and beautiful. You know, that's what I do. Anyway.
You are beautiful.
Thank you.
No problem.
The ramblings of a madman.
Let's go to the highlights here for Nepal Route 66. I'm not crazy. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
okay,
well,
you see?
How could you not be after a match like that? We were setting it up kind of Gladiators needed to get back into this. They were looking for the reverse sweep, and they were statistically favored on both of the maps that we were playing. And honestly, they could have come back to a map 5 here. We were kind of expecting it, not so much after the domination that was the first two maps, but the Gladiators got back into Nepal with a great series of composition switches. You know, on the first map, they started out running the triple tank, and then they switch over to the Farah to counter the Junkrat. That got countered, but the LA Gladiators are very good at Nepal, and they clawed their way back in.
Super impressive all around. One key player is the man you're seeing, not on your screens right now. I guess Sherford did play reasonably well, but it was Striker who I really wanted to talk about.
So good.
He just popped off again, and it's like, it wouldn't be a Boston game without Striker playing incredibly well, but when we move over to Route 66, again, a much closer series, a much closer map, I should say, overall, and Gladiators really made Boston sweat, bringing it over to the double overtime into the final moments. Sherford had an absolutely radical game. He was unbelievable, hitting some incredible shots against Mistakes, really sort of trying to spearhead his team into the victory.
Having said that, Mistakes stepped up more than I was expecting him to all across this series. When he was playing the Junkrat, he got that crazy air concussion kill onto Hydration when he was playing the Farah. And then here where he was playing the Widowmaker as well, I've never really thought about him as an all-star player. He filled in a role and played the role very well for the Boston Uprising, but now I think we're getting glimmers into the potential star caliber that he has. He has a lot of heroes that he's getting better at. I think it helped that he wasn't having to play so much Genji this game, because his Genji isn't that top tier, but at the Widowmaker, on Junkrat, he can fill the role very well. He's got a large amount of heroes that he can play to a high level.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you have to commend the DPS players, and we had kind of touched on this before. I mean, Striker, again, you know,
he's unbelievable.
You're his biggest fan.
I am his biggest fan, honestly. I really want to take a picture of him someday. It would be my greatest honor. I want to take a picture of him someday.
Yeah.
I want to get that selfie on with Striker. This is a stat card, and this is becoming the norm. This is becoming the norm. It seems we bring up a Striker stat card after the Boston games, and he is just absolutely destroying the opposition. The final overtime push on Route 66 66 was unbelievable. The guy didn't die. He was just actually, he was like the Grim Reaper knocking door to door, taking out enemies one at a time. It was a ridiculous showing from him. And he seems to always turn up like this when they need him most.
Down door to
You
door.
could, but I don't like to make that joke, so I'm going to leave
He had a
that.
KD of over 3 there, kill to death ratio of over 3. He leads the league in final blows per 10 minutes. He also leads the league in time played, so he almost always is playing that tracer role. Flexes off occasionally, and he's top 5 in pulse bomb kills, damage, and deaths, as in like bottom 5 in terms of deaths. Doesn't die very often. So the guy is absolutely incredible and such a star player.
We get it. He's good. He's talented.
He is.
But he's not your player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's actually going to be Gamsu, the captain, the man himself. And we had to make a decision about this, right? We had to think about it. We praise Striker. We talk about how great he is.
Yep.
But a player like Gamsu, he's the glue that keeps his team together, literally and figuratively, right? Whether it's, you know, in-game with his actions, but also just him being that presence, the captain of this squad.
Yeah. Since he came back from Korea, when he was kind of AWOL in the middle of the season, went to take a break, and Boston lost a couple of games. Since he came back, they've not lost once. He is the spearhead of a lot of their pushes. He's the captain of the team. He has a presence in the calling.
He's number 1.
He's number one as well. And we highlighted the fact that Fisher's such a superstar tank player. But Gamsu went head-to-head with him. And yes, Fisher was kind of more of the focal point of where the damage was going. Boston Uprising really tried to target him down. But Gamsu played really well today as well.
Yeah, so there you have it. Your player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP, Gamsu. Congratulations to him. But now we're in this unique situation where, and oh man, as a football fan, I am so happy with this storyline because, you know, the New England Patriots went undefeated in the season, went to the finals, ultimately lost to a New York team. Oh boy, it's just writing itself here, people. But this was their schedule. Now, you look at this and the victories that they had, and one thing that our dear friend Monte Cristo was so keen to bring up was that this squad is kind of won by the skin of their teeth numerous times here. But yet we keep saying that this is such a talented second best team. Do you guys feel that way? Do you feel like that they have won by the skin of their teeth numerous times throughout this season?
They absolutely have. All the games pretty much have been close. There've been a lot of best of 5s between them. But I feel like that is almost a guarantee. When you go undefeated in a league and you've got such a target on your back now, a lot of teams are going to be reviewing your prep tape much more than other teams when they're coming up against you, because they want to learn a lot more about you. So it is still very impressive that Boston have managed to come out on top with this 10-win streak. A bit more than that, actually, if you look back into stage 2, but 10 wins in stage 3. It's very impressive because everyone is going to be focusing on them and trying to see what they are weak at and what they can do to try and beat them. So
yeah, so Josh, here's the thing though, right? We had one joke that was said was, you know, the ball constantly landed in their favor, but then Doa so eloquently said, well, you can flip a coin 5 times and it'll still land, you know, heads. The chances of that happening are true. So is it random that they were able to come out with 3 2s constantly at the end, or is Boston Uprising the real deal and clutching up when it matters most?
I think you can have it both ways, actually. They can be the second best team in the league and also be right on the line when it comes to getting wins again and again. New York are, at the moment, in my opinion, the best team in the league, and they have been throughout the beginning of the league. But that doesn't mean they go undefeated. That doesn't mean they win every game. That's not how sports works. They have variables in the in the game itself. But the fact that Boston Uprising have been able to come out clutch every single time, you look at their play. They have star players. They make less mistakes than their opponent. They have a good style. So they're able to capitalize on the opportunities that other teams aren't. So when other teams start crumbling in those game 5s, Boston step up and win. Do I think they're going to be the favorites for the Stage 3 playoffs? No, I don't. I think that's still New York. But they are the real deal, and I think they are undeniably the second best team in the league right now.
Okay, Brent, I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes, and I want you to envision that you are the coach, the management staff. Hands. Come on. That you are the coaches of the Boston Uprising.
I am Huck.
You are Huck. You're the president. You're the president of gaming. You have the power to pick who this team is going to play.
Yep.
Let's assume Gladiators are in it. Who do you go for?
Do you know what? It would be cool if they picked New York, because then we'd have both LA teams playing against each other. That would be pretty cool.
They've said that they're not going to.
But
though.
they said they're not going to.
That's why you're not the president
That's
of gaming.
why I'm not the president of gaming. But they said they're not going to. They said they'd really not want to play against New York, because New York are the team that really gets the best read on them. If they're going to pick anyone, I think we both agreed on this, they're going to probably pick Valiant. I think they match up against Valiant best.
So.
And Valiant have been slumping a little bit recently. So
Still took them to a Game 5, though, as well. So really, anybody could take these playoffs. That's the weird thing. Even though New York, I think, are favored, Boston, they could beat all of the other 3 teams. They could lose to all of those 3 teams.
Yeah, it is, very interesting. And again, when Golden Boy is on a desk, you know you're always going to get a wrestling reference. And to quote the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man, okay? And for Boston Uprising, the man is New York. So one way or another, if you want to be the Stage 3 champions, you got to go through the New York Excelsior. Woo! Woo! Easy. And the good news is we're going to have to pick live on Saturday, so make sure you guys join us for that. But, yeah, I mean, that is going to do it for us here. And coming up next, we have a battle of David and Goliath as the New York Excelsior take on the Shanghai Dragons. That's coming up next. Can Shanghai pull off the unthinkable, or will it just go the way that we're all kind of sort of expecting it? Join us in just a few.
I predict Shanghai.
Don't.